welcome everybody to another edition of the C3 Friday Free for All. And it's very unfortunate today that we have to start the show with some absolutely terrible news. When we say C3 family, we mean it. We're there for one another through thick and thin. We're proud of this community that we have built as a C3 family. And when one of us experiences a tragedy, we all do. And yesterday morning, tragically, our very own Bat Daddy, aka Greg, lost his wife in a tragic car accident. And the entire C3 family is pretty torn up, and we're all thinking about our brother and thinking about the two daughters that the two of them had together. And we want to take a moment for the C3 community to come together and basically support our brother, Greg. They are doing a GoFundMe for his wife. This just happened yesterday morning. So everyone's sort of reeling by the tragic news and the turn of events. So today we are raising money for Ashley Schlager and her family and her husband and two daughters that she leaves behind. This is a very tough moment. We're dedicating this podcast to her honor, and we want to tell our brother Greg how much we love you. And if you would like to donate anything at all that you're able to donate, I have posted the link to the top of the YouTube and the Facebook chat for any and all who would like to help. Absolutely anything that you can donate is very much appreciated at this time. We appreciate each and every single one of you. And with that in mind, we are going to do our best to have a Friday free for all and talk about the Carolina Panthers, even though things have been put into context for us a little more. I have my regulars here with me today. You know them, you love them. It's Panther Pickle. Pickle, how the heck are you, brother?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Um, folks, we all have somebody in the background when you're doing a content uh something as a content provider, or you're doing something like a podcast or even a space. You always have somebody in the background that's instrumental in your life, that helps you out, or just takes care of things while you're doing that. Because contrary to some people's belief, this is a very time consuming endeavor,
Yeah.
and you don't do it without making sacrifices somewhere else. And shout out to Greg. This was the person in the background who did all the things for him
Yeah.
and supported him, and you know
Yeah.
peace with him and his family, and God bless him.
God bless him. And if any of you are the praying type, we don't typically go into those things. But if any of you are the praying type, please keep Greg and their two daughters and Ashley's family in your prayers. And we appreciate you all, man. Next up, he is the brand ambassador. You know him and love him. It's our brother D's Little Skills. D's, how are you, brother?
Man, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'll be honest. I've dreaded this moment in time since last night when I got the news of what happened. Nothing could hit much closer to home for me, so I'm not going to speak a lot on this to keep my emotions out of the show. But I do want people to realize how devastating this is for Greg and his family and those children. And I want people, if they can, if they're able, to donate to the cause. We're going to be putting the link in the chat for people to come in here and talk football. That's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about the Carolina Panthers, and Greg has done that for a long time. And he did that for the love of the Carolina Panthers and missed a lot of time probably with this lady that he'll never see again. And
Yeah.
I know that hits home to a lot of people because death is very final and it's very fleeting. Once it happens, you realize where you are and you realize that you're never going to be with that person again. It's very painful for all of us. For all of us, it really is. So, to get things kind of underway, and say something a little more on the positive side, I did want to give my most somber condolences to his family. But we get to celebrate a little bit tonight. The king of the FFA is back, Cody Lack. That's what my profile pic is here tonight, and celebrate that. We had a good time last week with CK, Cody, but it's good to have you back on the show, man. You are our wheel man, as Tony always says on the Tuesday show, and I'm looking forward to talking about all this crazy things going on with the Carolina Panthers.
I know.
Nobody said, I didn't see it anywhere in the chat, nobody said the Panthers are going to score 3 points. And nobody said Bryce Young gets benched week after week 2. So here we are, lots to talk about here in the FFA. But, of course, our hearts and our prayers go out to Greg and his family, of course. Thank you, Cody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Diesel, because we appreciate you. There is so much Panther football to be talking about. This is something that none of us expected before the start of the season, as Deez alluded to. Brother Deez, we appreciate you. Next up, we got my man Jake the Snake back in the free-for-all. Jake, how are you, brother?
Well, man, I'm doing okay, man. This like Dee said, this kind of hits a little closer home because, I lost my sister in February, and
Yeah,
if it wasn't for y'all, man, C3 was there for me, and, it's tragedy, man. Ain't nothing, and the only thing I gotta say is, man, you gotta take it day by day.
Yeah.
So anything you can do.
Absolutely, man. And listen, we save C3 family, and we mean that, man. We have built such a community that I'm so proud of. And the fact that we're even able to do something like this and use our platform to, raise a little bit of money for Greg and his family, it's just, it's incredible. And we feel blessed that we're able to do that. And the fact that we do have a community of people that are willing to be there for one another, that's special, man. And we definitely take none of y'all for granted, just so y'all know. Jenks, love you, brother. We appreciate you. Next up, we got my man Anthony back on the free-for-all. Ant, what's up, bro? How are you, man?
What's going on? I'm all right. I texted Greg separately, but, really the reason I come on this podcast every week is to just talk with you guys. It's not really, the Panthers are the focus of it, but it's not really the driving force. Really, it's the connections you built, and C3 is definitely a very important part of my life, and it has been since 2022, really. And my condolences go out to Greg and his family, and he deserves to feel whatever he's feeling right now. It's a very tragic moment, but we love you, Greg, and we're always going to be here for you, and we have each other's backs, and I think that's what's most important about what we built over here. So, Panthers are not disagreements are not, like, this is the stuff that matters to me. So, once again, prayers go out to you, man. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Yeah, man. Listen, it puts everything into perspective today. The fact that we're blessed enough to even be able to do this every Friday and every Tuesday. And, it puts everything into perspective. Next up, we got my man, Alex, C3 Cali Cat, back in the building. Alex, how are you, man?
Condolences out to Greg, Bat Daddy. Just like you guys all alluded to, man, we're all family here. It's crazy to think that, like, all the Fridays, all the Tuesdays, all the spaces, everything that you guys do, it's almost like, to me, you guys are family. Well, I've never met any one of you guys, but just to talk Panther football and just hang out with one another. It feels like you guys are family, especially in that Panther community. So obviously I appreciate it from the West Coast. Just so you guys know, I'm like I have in my profile, I'm from California. There's not a lot of Panther fans out here. So it's this is a good feeling to, like, talk football, talk Panther football with you guys. And obviously I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. And Greg, we love you, man. Keep pounding. And yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, man. C3 is a community here for one another. It doesn't matter if you're in California, like Alex, or the UK, like my man Dexter Henderson. We are C3 family, man. And once again, for those of you who are just joining, Greg's wife tragically passed away in a car accident yesterday morning, and we are sharing the GoFundMe, which is linked to the top of the YouTube chat. If any of you could donate anything and everything that you're able to, it is greatly appreciated. The family is incredibly devastated by this, and anything that you can donate to help them and their cause, that would be incredible right now. And again, just to pinpoint you in the right direction, donate to the GoFundMe account pinned to the top of the YouTube chat room. So again, thoughts and condolences and prayers with Ashley Schlager and Greg and their family at this point in time. Like I said earlier, we're going to do a free-for-all today, man. We're going to do what we do best, and we are going to talk Carolina Panther football. Boys, ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's roll. The unthinkable has indeed happened. After only 2 weeks of NFL football, the Carolina Panthers have benched Bryce Young in favor of Andy Dalton. We'll play some clips of Dalton and Bryce Young and Dave Canales talking about the move. But boys, it's a free-for-all. Who wants to jump in first? Was this the right move? And in your opinion, will we ever see Bryce Young under center as the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers ever again? Jump on it.
Yes, I think we will. I think we will see Bryce back under center for the Panthers again.
I do too.
Before the end of the year. Now that being said, it was very hard. Because a lot of folks like myself thought, okay, it ain't working. And when you watch tape, you see it ain't working. And there was no rhyme or reason behind it. It just wasn't. And you could go all into the issues last year and all that, but we've all done that. The national media, the reason why they're making the big to-do of it, to be honest, in my opinion, is because they're just now realizing the same thing we all knew. Yeah. They're just now realizing how bad last year was. They're just now realizing the effects of doing some of the things that we've done since we drafted Bryce. They're just now realizing some of these things. And it's national media. I don't expect anything less from them. So I don't expect anything more either. So, but, it is what it is. I think that Bryce is like is suffering from a version of PSD, and I think he needed a break. When you watch tape and you listen to professionals, and I'm not talking about somebody on YouTube, I'm talking to a real professional. I listened to XM Radio the last couple of days, and they have a lot of ex-offensive coordinators, ex-head coaches, ex-quarterbacks, Rich Gannon, for example. And when all of them watch film, they watched the All-22, they seen a Bryce that they didn't see in college. They seen a Bryce that had lost a lot of the things that we drafted for to be a plus. Now he no longer has those things. So you put him back, basically back him up a little bit. You see if you can heal him. You see if he can get well, and you go from there. I know that a lot of the trade talk is just hyperbole at this point. I mean, I don't think they're going to trade him at all this year. Now, if some team calls up and says, we'll give you 2 first-round picks, well, bye-bye Bryce. But that won't happen. So I think all the trade talk is by and large overblown. But, yeah, go, Anthony.
I was just, to add on to you, man, it's tough, really. When you watch our young quarterback not able to make reads with players open and the offensive line holding up, I think it is a lot of last year. And, you brought up the national media. I never listen to them because they never watch the Panthers and they never even know what's going on with our team anyways. They usually have a lot of things wrong. But I do agree. I don't think we should trade him. Like maybe he just needs to sit this year. You never know. I just think we've invested too much to give up. And I think that's one of the themes of the David Tepper era is we just give up on something too quick. And I'm not saying he's going to be this franchise guy for the next 7 years if we give him a break, but I do think he could be a solid player still. And I think a lot of last year too really affected his mental state. I don't think it's not that he doesn't have the ability to play. I think he does have the ability to play quarterback. I just think it's clear from a mental perspective. And I also think Dave Canales didn't even think it was this bad maybe going into the season. Maybe they should have played the starters longer in preseason. I don't know what it is, but it's tough now. Andy Dalton's our quarterback. I'll support Andy Dalton for the foreseeable future. But, this season was supposed to be about Bryce. So I would be lying if I said it doesn't feel like a knife to the chest a little bit in terms of like.
It definitely does, especially if you were someone that was really excited about Bryce before the draft. And one, shout out to Kyle, Charlotte Sports One, who said, thanks for the link, Cody, and have a love bomb for the channel. We love you, Greg. We appreciate you, Kyle. And again, if anybody would like to donate, please click the link that's pinned at the top of the YouTube chat. But as far as Bryce Young is concerned, and then I'll welcome in Britt Panther. If Andy Dalton goes out against the Las Vegas Raiders and has any sort of modicum of success throwing the football downfield, at that point, how would you ever justify turning back, looking to the other men of the locker room and saying that we're going to go back to Bryce Young? I just don't know how that happens this year. And in a lot of ways, if you're Bryce Young, and you're sort of vindicated if Andy Dalton does go out there and continues to struggle in a similar manner that Bryce was. But, I'm thinking back to last season and how in week 2 versus the Seattle Seahawks, I know they passed the ball almost 60-something times, but Andy Dalton threw for almost 400 yards that day with a wide receiver core that many people would say is inferior to the one that we're currently running with. So, I'm personally excited for what Andy Dalton might be able to do going forward. I think the offense will look better with a veteran. But a lot is on the line for the future of Bryce Young right now, and that's not lost on me. Let me welcome in my man Alex, Britt Panther from across the pond in the UK. Alex, how are you, brother?
Good evening, chaps. Not too bad, thank you. I'm sad to obviously hear about Greg's missus, but sending obviously thoughts to him.
Sure.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about Bryce. I kind of agree with Pickle that obviously I think now is the right time to bring Bryce out of it. I put a little bit of a note of some thoughts I was having down on here, so I'll just kind of go through that a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Ultimately, obviously, talent doesn't just evaporate overnight, and Bryce has shown that he is a capable quarterback. Maybe not yet in the NFL, but obviously in Alabama, he was good at Alabama. The thing that's sort of pissing me off a little bit is the fact that everyone's talking about him like this is the end of his career, and I can sort of see why in some cases that people are. But anyone who says to me now that if they were 23-year-old and in his shoes and were capable of handling the pressure of coming off a bad season, the pressure of the fact that everybody is watching you, everybody is looking at you as, what's Bryce going to do? Is he going to be able to pick it up from the terrible season they had last year? Are they, he's even got a lot of his own fans that are desperate for him to fail because they want to be proven right that we should have picked Stroud. And you've always going to have an element of those fans that are just going to say, well, I want Bryce to fail. Or, well, they're not going to say it. They're just going to silently want Bryce to fail because they want to be proven right. To be honest, I think it's good that we're taking him out of the limelight now because it's not sort of unheard of that a player will, have a bit of a rest, have a bit of time for chat to move on, for something else to happen and be the talking point of the world of the NFL. And for him to maybe be brought back in for the back end of games where maybe the result's already gone one way, maybe we're already, out of the game, or maybe we're far enough ahead in a game that we could probably bring Bryce in and give him some snaps when towards the back end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Some garbage time.
Ease him back in when things aren't so dire and things aren't so desperate that he needs to come out and perform there and then. But ultimately, I think now is probably the right time to take him out because, like I say, he is the talking point. He is what everybody's looking at the moment. And until that changes, I think now is a good time to just bench him for a bit and like I say, take him out of the firing line.
Yeah. And, Panther Pickle mentioned earlier in his opening comments something about PTSD. And again, we did a reasonable amount of upgrading around Bryce this year. All the stuff that many of you already know. We upgraded the guard positions to the tune of $100 million. You go out and get Deontay Johnson. You go out and you draft Xavier Legette, who has been wanting a lot more targets in our system. We did things to help him out. And if he's still suffering from the effects of last year and, not keeping his eyes on the routes and instead looking down at the pressure coming at him, it just does seem like there's something to be said about breaking a young player. Right now, he's very clearly broken and not in a position to live up to the talent that we supposedly drafted number one. The real question is,
sorry, continue.
No, I'm just saying that's the question that we're faced with now is under what auspices does Bryce Young ever come back on this field, going forward? How do you move back to him? What has to happen in order for that to even happen?
Well, could I take this one real quick?
Yeah, then I'm going to introduce Kyle. Go
ahead. I'm kind of I'm a little confused because, Canales was brought here to help him. I just don't know if we can say, all right, he's done after 2 games. I just don't know if that's what Canales, that was the plan, it just doesn't add
do you
up.
Do you think that maybe he was confident in his ability to help Bryce, and then maybe through 2 weeks, Dave Canales is realizing on the fly, oh, I didn't realize how bad it was. Bryce isn't doing even some of the basic things that I thought he was going to be able to do. There was almost a realization point for the coaching staff as well.
Well, I don't think it was just the 2 games. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Anthony. I don't think it was just. I think there was a reason why they didn't play him a lot in the preseason, and I think this is why. I think they liked some of the stuff they were seeing, but some of this stuff was alarming them in practice. Because sometimes in a training camp practice, you'll just say to your quarterback, go hit the open guy. And if you go to one guy all the time, they'll pull that guy out and put somebody else in there and see what happens, And I think some of the things they were alarmed with, that's why they didn't play a lot in the preseason. And Canales being who he is, he always tries to be positive about it. But real quick, to answer your question real quick, Cody, I think if Andy comes out and throws a bunch of yardage and we win, that's different. But I'm not 100% certain we're going to be an automatic win. Our defense is atrocious. We still can't stop the run. We can't stop the pass. We can't stop anything the opposing offenses is doing. And that being said, when the time comes, I want y'all to hear me out. When the time comes and we are not in the playoffs or we're eliminated from the playoff contention, there's no use to keep playing Andy at that point. At that point, I'm going to pull Plummer off the practice squad. I'm going to put Bryce as a starter. And if I get an opportunity to play Plummer, I will.
Could I add this real quick? And then this is quick. This is all I wanted to say. Yeah. I agree with everything you said, Pickle. And I think this is the other factor. Maybe Canales, guys, he's a first-time head coach. Maybe he's just in over his head right now, and he can't focus on all these things at once. Like trying to fix Bryce, but trying to make the best moves for the roster. I just think he's kind of in that situation where it's like, let's hold off on this right now and see if we can go back to it a little later. But right now, I need to see what this offense can do. But that's
let me get some people in here real quick. Let me go to Diesel Skills, and then we'll get Jake, and then I'm going to bring Kyle into the show. Brother Deez, you've always been a voice of reason. Tell me what you're thinking on this. How did this go wrong with Bryce? What does the future hold for him? And can Andy Dalton actually salvage this squandering offense right now?
Well, this is so much. This is so much information to unpack. We could talk for 4 hours, especially with 10 people on the panel. We could literally talk for 4 hours just about this and unpack all this. There's so much going on right now with the Panthers. Okay, but let me draw your attention over just to last night for the football fans, the NFL fans that watched last night's game. Drake May. Okay, when did Drake May come into the game? Did he start the game? No. Is Jacoby Brissett the future of the New England Patriots? No. And what we're seeing is the Panthers fall in line to follow suit for the NFL instead of putting Young in the situation where he has to be the savior for the Carolina Panthers. How many times did we put him in that situation last year? We were like, okay, Bryce, go out and win the game for us. And that's tough. That's hard. And how many sacks did he take last season? He tied the franchise record with 62 sacks taken. And we sat here and we thought, okay, well, he's going to be fine. He didn't get hurt. He did good. But the damage was on the inside, not on the outside. And there's no surprise that Dave Canales, just after watching the second week of game film, said, you know what? We're not going to do this. Why are we doing this with something that we invested this heavily into? Now, it wasn't his regime that had invested so much into Bryce Young, but why in the world would you keep throwing him out there for a team that's not ready? And not only that, but Canales, he needs evaluation on the wide receiving core. He needs evaluation on different parts of the offense, whether it be to the tight end group or whatever. And where Bryce's headspace was, it wasn't in a place for him to get the evaluation that he needs for his own coaching staff. He needs to know, is my coaching staff doing a good job? Am I doing a good job? Well, you can't tell when the offense puts up 84 yards passing. Yeah. It only accumulates 3 points through the course of the game. That was my initial point. Nobody on the panel, nobody in the chat, and trust me, all of you guys are freaking awesome and very knowledgeable about football, first of all. There's a lot of really smart people in the chat. And I read all the comments too. There's nobody that said the Panthers are going out here scoring 3 points because Bryce Young is broken. Nobody said that. But that's what we saw play out on Sunday. So what this former staff, Scott Fitter and Frank Reich, did messed up what we drafted from Alabama. He's not the savant that he was then, not right now. We're gonna set him aside, just like the Patriots said Drake May, and said, well, let's get some rhythm on this offense. Let's get some timing on this offense. Let's get some things down. Let's get these guys used to the system. And the whole everyone arguing about the preseason and why he didn't play, and the line was never healthy. The line struggled. Damian Lewis got ready when week one. Yeah. And we paid him a lot of money, but his shoulders jacked up. It needed time. And the Panthers still need time to work things out, and that's what we're doing. And we're removing Bryce from harm is what we're doing to let him heal and fix the things that we did to him last year or the previous regime did to him last year. So he doesn't turn out like a Sam Darnold where it takes 3 years, whatever it is, to recover and become the prospect that you once were. Because it is a big transition from college to the NFL. I don't think and I know the national media wants to put it out there. Y'all touched on it. I'll shut up here in a second.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any intention whatsoever on trading Bryce Young. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
he's going to go work on his footwork. He's going to work on reading the NFL defenses quicker. These are the type of things he's going to do because we're going to see Andy sling it coming up Sunday. You know what I mean? That's what he did versus Seattle. You already talked about it. He's got the opportunity to go out there and throw the football, and man, Andy's going to have a good time doing it. He's going to sling it, and he's going to be not maybe Brett Favre, but he's going to take some chances because he knows that his light is very dim in the NFL. This is one of his last opportunities to go out there and have some fun playing the game that he loves. So he's going to look. The rifle's going to rocket the ball down the field, and it's probably a good thing going up against the Raiders. And I'll leave it at that. But there's just a lot to unpack here, and I don't think a lot of the narratives that are being cast upon the situation are necessarily true. We are just following in the footsteps of what the Patriots are doing and taking somebody that we gave up so much draft capital for and value for in like a DJ Moore, and we're setting him to the side and saying, you know what, this team ain't quite ready. Let's get some other things in line, whether it's the coaching staff or the players or the health of the team in general. Let's get some other things in line before we put you in the line of fight. And that's all I believe it is, Cody.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then, you hit the nail on the head, too. We're kind of the laughing stock right now. Like, everybody is looking at the Carolina Panthers as what not to do. And in many ways, we are the definition of what not to do. But, hey, before I go to Jake, I want to read some of these incredible super chats that we've gotten. First, thank you to Jerry for the C3 bomb. Says, Canales is a rookie coach. He has no experience building a culture like Quinn. I think Canales is a bad coach. I hear you, man. I would just put the pause on that talk for a little bit until we're at least able to see what Andy Dalton is able to do. That's my humble opinion. But, hey, man, we're here to talk about it. Nirvash with the pair of $10 donations says maybe it's possible that Bryce is just a bad quarterback. There's plenty of highly drafted college quarterbacks that didn't do much in the NFL. Not saying he can't improve, but maybe he's just not good. And I love this point by him as well. He says, I don't like how most of the media is attacking the Panthers organization so much to the point where they're making it seem like Bryce is just a faultless victim of the situation that he was in. And this is going to be where I'm sort of wanting to move the question here in a minute about who does lie at fault and what went wrong with Bryce and how much is on the Carolina Panthers as an organization versus how much is on Bryce Young just not being the player that we were sold before the draft last year. And an old school Panther fan with the $10 says the Panthers have been constantly changing players, quarterbacks especially, and coaches, but the outcomes don't seem to improve. Theories as to why. And to me, that sort of all ties in, Everybody has sort of already painted David Tepper as the big bad boogeyman of the Carolina Panthers. And listen, the man has a great number of faults, okay? I don't believe that anyone is going to sit up here on this panel and tell you that David Tepper has been exemplary. No, I think, and to the contrary, I think that he's brought a lot of shame publicly to the Carolina Panthers. However, I do fear that now David Tepper has just become, all the problems are just David Tepper. And it's just David Tepper bringing all the issues. And I don't know that that's spreading the blame around enough. Do you have a general manager? You have head coaches. You have an entire team full of scouts. I'm going to go to my man Jake and give you the opportunity to speak your mind, bro. Jake, what do you feel about Bryce being benched? Will we ever see him again? And where do you put the fault? Who do you blame for Bryce being this bad? Is it the fault of the Panthers, or is it more on Bryce not being ready? Jake, what say you, my brother?
I think, well, I'm going to go first. I think it needed to be done. I think he needed to be benched for the simple fact that it wasn't looking good. And I know a lot of people was talking about his confidence. I think even if they did bench him, his confidence was going down every week, y'all. It just was. I mean, getting blown out back-to-back weeks, who knows how long it would have continued. And people was talking about, well, he got benched now. His confidence is gone completely. It was going to eventually go anyways. And I think it needed to be done now for the simple fact is you get to see Andy Dalton. You're going to see what this – you're going to get out of the offense, wide receivers, all that stuff. And then the dog's going crazy. I've been trying to tell – hold on.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
But when it comes to fall, I think it's the team. I think it's everybody. And just go ahead.
I agree.
I agree a lot. I'm going to say it's a little bit everybody's fault, including Bryce's. It is. As far as the national media, I've said it before, the 99% of the national media, like Mike Florio, for example, They don't watch all 22. They watch the highlights. That's what they watch. They don't watch anything else. They go to NFL or ESPN. They watch a few highlights. They're done. Life goes on. Then they're off to criticizing. Why? Because they read it. Somebody they dig up a local beat reporter somewhere, whether it's ESPN, whether it's Observer, wherever it is. They read an article. All of a sudden, they know all there is to know, which is not the case because they don't know all they need to know. As far as the blame. I'm going to blame everybody. Everybody.
Yeah,
I'm going to blame everybody. I mean, I'm going to blame David Tepper for hiring him. I'm going to blame Scott Farrer for trying to pretend like this was a great team last year. I'm going to blame Dan Morgan for standing there watching. I'm going to blame I'm going to blame Dan Morgan for putting that pathetic defense out there on the field. I'm going to blame Phil Snow because why not? I'm blaming anybody else. Might as well blame him for something. I'm blaming everybody. And
blame Roger. Blame Roger Goodell while you're at it too.
Why not? And listen.
Blame Bryce's
Roger Goodell takes a lot of blame because the NFL, all the NFL wants to do is push passing yards. That's just fact. Look it up. It's not hard. They want to push the passing yards because the passing yards feeds fantasy football, and fantasy football feeds gambling.
They're going to ban double high safeties, don't you know?
And that's what they're all pushing that way. So it all runs for profit for the NFL, and the NFL defenses has kind of pulled a moon the entire NFL because now teams are coming out in less linebackers. They're replacing linebackers with safeties who can cover by and large across the NFL. That's why teams are starting to run it more. If you look it up, passing yards and passing touchdowns across the league are down dramatically for the first two games for the last several years compared to this year. Look it up.
So there's a trend that I want to touch on in relation to that too, because Chuba Hubbard right now is currently getting around like 6.5 yards per carry. So you really see how the Carolina Panthers, even with Andy Dalton under center, there is an avenue for
blame the guy who invented football. Why not? I blame him.
Listen, let me get two more people in here. One, let me welcome in Kyle into the show. Kyle, how are you, brother? How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good, brother. Jump in on this convo. What went wrong with Bryce, and do you expect to ever see him again? And who did you put the blame on? All the stuff, whatever you want to say.
All right, so I'm going to stick true to what I've been saying all along, and I'm going to blame David Tepper and Frank Reich. And the reason I blame them is because they put the pressure on Bryce Young when they drafted him to start, and they made him the starter in training camp before he ever threw a pass in a game. Wrong. His development would have been much different had he sat until week 8. And I'm going to hold true to that, and I think it's true. I mean, I understand that Trey Lance was a quarterback in the last couple of years that they did that with, and it didn't work out. But no, I'm not willing to say. I think that they rushed him out there. He wasn't able to perform, and now he's got that terrified kind of like little bunny, got to run around and get away from everybody because he's going to get hit because he's been sacked 68 to 70 times in the NFL already, and so I blame it on his development. Like I blame it on him. Well, I mean, in that mindset, I can also blame Bryce because if he's humble and he's smart, he doesn't come in and be like, "Yeah, I'm ready to start. I'm just gonna just put me out there, coach." I mean, if he's humble and he understands it, he's gonna want the vet to start. So that means that he didn't speak up. So he let it happen. So it's kind of a cohesive kind of mistake. But where do we go from here? We just let Andy play as many games as he has to, and we find out how bad our team really is, and we can get an actual letter grade or a number grade on these guys, on these skill position players, you know, and what because we all knew going into the offseason that it wasn't going to take 1 year to rebuild this team. So we're going to have to identify the strengths and weaknesses of this team. We just can't be a 2-16 or 2-15 ass, you know, football team. We just can't do that. So I am totally against throwing the season away. I don't want to watch that. Like, I want to watch real fucking football and be at least competent. I'll say that. So whatever gives us the best chance to succeed is what I want on the field.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we all want. And, you know, I was at the game. You see all the people leaving in the third quarter. And it's like, there's no way that doesn't make it up to the top. And we're also going to ask, you know, we're going to have a full-fledged conversation around this because this is what there is to talk about. It's been the biggest news story in sports media this past week. And the Panthers are never the top story amongst national media. So, like, we're going to
unless it's something bad.
Yeah,
unless it's something bad.
Yeah,
let me introduce one more person, and then everybody will have gotten their intro. Let me get in Christian. Christian, welcome to the Free For All, brother.
That's
How
his
are you?
fault. It's his fault.
There he is.
It's all
Always my
Christian's
fault,
fault,
man.
always. Christian, what's up, brother? What do you make of this Bryce Young situation, man?
Oh man, as you guys probably know, I was never a fan of his. But I kind of wanted to give a different perspective that I haven't seen anyone, or just a topic.
Sure.
Is, you know, the point of view of someone who was never a fan of Bryce and didn't really want us to draft him. You know, we were basically just dragged for not wanting him to begin with because we were supposedly dumb. We didn't know football. Then we were dragged for not supporting him whenever we voiced our opinions, and you know, we were accused of not wanting the team to succeed, and we weren't true fans. I just want to give you guys a perspective that none of this is fun. I mean, it's and I feel bad for the kid, and I really wish he could have succeeded. You know, I wanted him to prove me wrong. I know, Cody, you feel the same. It's tough, dude. Like he's an underdog, and but you know, the only fun that was from it, if you want to call it fun, was just, you know, just taking the receipts of all those people who were very loud and obnoxious to me or to us, and then basically just say, hey man, see, told you. And, you know, and it doesn't do any good, but the truth is, man, that like I think that I thought it was kind of silly to think that to label him as the surefire day one starter, and that's what we needed because that's what we were spending a number one pick on. And I think that narrative's kind of silly. He could have he would have benefited from benching. I think Frank Reich tried to do that in week 3 of last year, but for whatever reasons unknown to us, he was put back in. There was that mystery injury, if you recall, but I don't think Bryce even really kind of acknowledged that he was injured. But you know, it's not fun, and we're not happy that he's benched. I'm not. I'm happy. Well, what I'm excited about is for him to get a chance to reboot, reset, learn on the sideline, watch a veteran do it, and then hopefully the Red Rifle can bring some life into this offense, and then in turn, you know, get some first downs, and in turn, kind of like, you know, bring a spark to the defense as well as the whole team. And it's not just, it's going to be a team effort. So that's all I really want to say. And also, you know, like I don't know anyone that well here. Man, that I'm really feeling sorry for Greg and his loved ones. And I'm not good at speaking words of encouragement, but I wanted to acknowledge it, that, you know, it was the first thing I thought of when I woke up, was just to put out into you know, put something out there that to wish him well and provide strength for what they're going through.
Yeah, man. And for those of you who don't know, who may have joined a little bit late, our very own Bat Daddy tragically lost his wife in a car accident yesterday morning, and we are raising money for their family. We have linked the GoFundMe to the top of the stream, and I just want to make sure everybody at different points in the pod kind of sees it and sort of knows what we're doing. And today we're doing it in her honor, and also asking people to donate anything and everything that you can to Greg and his wife and the 2 young daughters that they leave behind. who this has affected so greatly. So, Christian, thank you for your words. And Christian, to go back to something that you were saying, and I think that you brought up something that we have to talk about. You know, I'm on record as saying that this Panther fan base hasn't been the same since the divide between the Bryce Young stands and the CJ Stroud stands. And you're right, there was a lot of picking and taking sides. And many of the people who were very critical of Bryce Young from the start, we have said our piece about it for so long, to be dubbed as haters or whatever. I assure you that no one's taking a victory lap right now, because now we're talking about the same old conversations as to what the Panthers are going to do from here on out. Do they risk drafting Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck or, Shador Sand? Do they even do that? Or do they risk not ruining another young quarterback and go for the year after? Do we go with the veteran? Do we extend Andy Dalton for another year? There's so many conversations that are relevant to this discussion that are all rearing their head again right now. And I just think that Christian made a great point. Like, no one is celebrating the demise of Bryce Young. And in fact, I'm of two different mindsets. I want to see Bryce in the future. I hope that he's able to turn it around. Do I think that he will do so? No, I really don't. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I think the offense is going to look a lot better with Andy Dalton. Now, I don't know that, but if that does happen, it just prevents such a harder road for Bryce to be able to get back to that quarterback position. Who wants to jump in on this? Go ahead, Ant.
So, kind of a lot. Like, I kind of want to go back a little bit because we had a big discussion. And, first off, I'll say this. Like, yeah, the whole, like, pulling receipts thing, I'm not really in the big game of that, to be honest. Like, I get a lot of shit wrong. I'm honestly, like, you can pull some of my receipts up. I've been wrong about so much stuff about this team. And I don't think it's because I don't know football. I just think I don't really know shit about the draft. Like, I'm not that kind of guy when it comes to this sport. And second thing is, Bryce has had a tough week, man. I mean, even his girlfriend broke up with him. He must have a weak pullout game, to be honest. But that's not really. I'm just throwing that out there. But anyways,
damn it, Ant.
But who's to blame for this? Man. Let me tell you. I listen.
Delivery.
I always have my cup of coffee around like 9 in the morning, and I honestly listen to Pickle's morning videos. Honestly, and I was listening to him today.
They are the best,
and
they're good.
They're really good, and he brought up like, stop learning how to say David Tepper in every other sentence. And quite frankly, I don't just blame him. I mean, look at the incompetency we've had here from the coaches to the players. Like, sometimes the players aren't good. But I also think in the same mindset, you can say like, well, what has Tepper done that's good on the flip side? And I don't know if there's a definitive answer to that. So I think it's just kind of like, we just kind of got to see what's going on, what happens from going forward with the team. But in terms of Bryce Young, yeah, man, I mean, it could very well be the end of him. And like, the dude, this is the same thing. Like, I was a little upset when Sam Darnold got to be the quarterback over Baker closing out the season in 2022, because I thought we did Baker wrong. But I wasn't really that mad when we started winning games and the fan base was collected together. And I think winning just solves all of this issue. Like, if you can string together a few games, maybe fans will stop going at each other's throats, making shit personal that doesn't have to be like that. Like, that's just my biggest issue with all of this, man. Like, we're all human beings, and we should not be going at each other's throats because of this team.
I can easily say, and people who know kind of things that have gone on around us recently, like, there's been a lot of toxicity just around this fan base, and it's undeniable. I mean, like, I wasn't on the past two shows. Your boy just needed a break to recharge the batteries, and the season hadn't really even started, But I did want to bring up something that I feel is relevant to this conversation. So Dave Canales said that this is a decision that he made after watching the film. And in the post-game press conference right after the game, he said that Bryce is our guy. And then over the course of the night, he happens to read, watch the All 22, and he decides to change his mind. Well, Panther fans hear that, and they say, oh, that means David Tepper talked to him, gave him the marching orders, and said that this is what we're going to do now. So my question is to all of you, and this is to everyone in the chat, everyone on the panel, did this decision come from Dave Canales or did it come from Dave Tepper? Tell me who you think and give me a brief explanation.
Dave Canales. Dave Canales. Why? If Tepper, see, this is where people are telling on themselves, and I'm sorry, but they are, because you cannot logistically say that it came from David Tepper and then turn around and say David Tepper ordered them to draft Bryce Young. You can't have it both ways, folks, because if David Tepper said bench that man, that means David Tepper says, okay, I fucked up. We shouldn't have drafted him. And if that's the case, David Tepper don't bench people. He fires them. Bryce Young is still on this team. Dave Canales said he's going to play number 2. I don't see David Tepper doing. Here's what Canales said. Canales said he went to Morgan and Brandon Tillis. All 3 went to David Tepper. That tells me it took 3 of them. Yeah, okay, Brad Isaac. And it took 3 or 4 of them to go talk to Tepper about benching Bryce Young. This tells me that, number 1, they all just wanted to see Tepper that morning and have a beer with him. Or they knew it was going to take all 3 of them to talk him into it, to get him to
and they wanted to win.
It was that bad.
So real quick,
in that respect, that's when Tepper starts going to practices again.
Or
now,
maybe
so. Well, I just wanted to very quickly make my stance on it known. I've been public with this before. I believe that Frank Reich and the previous staff preferred CJ Stroud. I believe that the plan changed in David Tepper's mind when they moved up to 1, at which case I do believe that David Tepper preferred Bryce and made that the pick. Now, I also agree with Pickle.
I got something on that.
I do. That's fine. I do believe that Dave Canales was the one to make this happen. I don't believe that this was David Tepper saying, hey, like a lot of people are trying to make it out to be, hey, you better bench Bryce or else you're fired. And I'm sorry, I just don't see that as
here's what was brought up on NFL Network. I never thought of this, and I heard it, not NFL, excuse me, NFL XM radio. And it was brought up, and I never thought of it that way. I don't even know if it's true, but one of y'all may know. What I can't remember her name. David Tepper's wife, Nicole. That's her
Nicole.
name, Nicole Tepper had dinner with every one of the candidates we went to that year. She only went to one of their private workouts at the team facility. She was only at one of the private workouts. That was Bryce Young. She wasn't at CJ Stroud's private workout. She wasn't at Anthony Richardson or Will Levis's private workout. Neither one of the Teppers was at Will Levis's private workout. The only private workout she attended was Bryce Young.
Yeah.
I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah. Let's go to Christian and then Anthony.
Okay, I didn't want to cut in front of anyone, but I would say this, that if David Tepper was the one that had to tell Dave Canales to make a move, then Dave Canales is a fucking bad coach. I mean, because if he can't see the results on the field and how he was playing, then I'll also say this though. I from what I pick up on Dave Canales is I think he's actually a pretty bad liar. I think he's new to this.
Yes, I agree.
He did it with the Xavier Leggett. No, we did. We told a bunch of people we were going to take him with our first pick. You know, I think he's just a bad liar. I think that was his standard response after a game, didn't want to go overboard, but knew that he had some conversations had it. And I think at most probably just wanted to go to the big man and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Just kind of get, I guess, some kind of final approval, but not like I don't know. I don't think this is David Tepper's doing. I think it was Bryce's doing for the most part.
Yeah.
I agree.
We'll go to Ant and then Alex Britt Panther. Go ahead, Ant.
So, I've come to the realization that, I don't think the coaches wanted CJ. I mean, I don't think they wanted Bryce Young. And I think we kind of saw that at the pro day. And Tepper wanted Bryce Young. But this is my take on it. I said the same thing as Greg did on the Tuesday night show. Yeah. I don't know if y'all remember what I said on my call, but I still stand by it. I think that, obviously, Tepper wanted Bryce Young. So why would he want to bench his investment? It was clearly a Canales decision. And who knows, maybe Canales said, dude, let me do my fucking job. Let's bench him for a little bit. And let's see if we can win some damn games. And if you don't like it, Tepper, well, guess what? Then why the fuck did you hire me if you're just going to make all these decisions for me? So just go ahead, give me a breather. And maybe Tepper said something along the lines of, well, y'all better win some games or I want to see Bryce out there. But I don't think it was much deeper than that. And also, again, what Greg said, I completely, dude, we got to win this fan base back. Our standards are so low to the point where I'm at the point, too. I don't care who's starting, but can the game not be over by halftime, by 2 o'clock? Can we see a competitive team? And I just don't think you get that with Bryce Young right now. I think that's kind of where Canales is coming from. I don't think it's much deeper than that. Because trust me, if Tepper had his say in this, then Bryce Young would be playing no matter what.
Well, and then there's also the argument to be made that David Tepper is so results-oriented that when he's whenever he sees something that isn't working, change it. I'm done with it. Fire a head coach. All these different types of things. Everybody makes Tepper, and I'm not even saying that they're wrong for having this assumption of him, but everybody assumes that Tepper is well, if it's not working, change it now.
Yeah,
make it better.
That's what I said.
Well, I
he's
think
not patient. Just let some things play out. Just be a little slower with it.
And let me read this comment too. Rare Gamer says, bouncing off of Pickle's comment, I think Nicole wanted Bryce, and Tepper was just pushing what his wife wanted. But then remember, hold on. But then remember, there was, and again, not saying what is or isn't true, but Adam Schefter came out and did a podcast on Barstool and said that Mrs. Tepper preferred C.J. Stroud and David Tepper preferred Bryce Young. So it's all conjecture at this point. Let me get Alex Britt Panther in on this. Alex, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I was just going to be honest, I don't think there's anything really I can add to what he's already said, but I was more of the line of thinking that I think this is a decision from Canales on the back of something that Tepper has come to him with. I think this is more of a case that Tepper has come to him and said, look, these fucking results are shit. Find a solution to it and find a solution to it now. And I think the solution that Canales has come up with is gone, right, let's change the quarterback. Let's put Dalton in, a veteran who hopefully will have an instant impact. I don't think it's anything beyond that, really. I don't think there's going to be anything too much more to it than that. I think it's just going to be a case, literally, that Tepper said, look, I'm not waiting around for results. You were brought in as the quarterback fixer. You haven't fixed them in the first 2 games. What's the crack? I want results. And Canales has gone, right, well, let's take him out of the firing line for now and put Dalton in and see if we can work on Bryce in the background and bring him back in at a later time.
Yeah.
Real quick, Cody, go ahead. I have a theory. I don't have any evidence to back it up. It's just my gut telling me that I'm a firm believer that I think Dan Morgan and Dave Canales knew that there was a lot of development to happen with Bryce. I think they knew what they had or what they didn't have in him. And I do believe it was part of the interview process. I mean, how do you not address it? So I think that there was a possibility that they were going to do this. They kind of had a plan in place that should he start to falter, maybe we'll let him sit a little bit, but let's give him every opportunity. Let's approach every day as if he's our quarterback. Let's not ruin any development or opportunity for him. But when they say things all offseason like you're gonna see how stubborn we are running the ball, and it's not about Bryce, it's not just about building weapons around him. Like I'm reading the tea leaves, and everything told me that I think they kind of knew that he had a lot to grow. So I think this was kind of semi-planned to a degree had he faltered.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, man. And like I said, I want to see Bryce again. I just don't know if we will. And to me, so much of that is dependent upon what this offense is able to do going forward. Now, listen, I wanted to brush by this. I don't want to spend too much time on like personal details, but it's also part of the conversation that's being had right now is that apparently Bryce had a girlfriend who is now either dating Shedeur Sanders or did date Shedeur Sanders. So now people are wondering, is it just love sick? And I don't like to speculate on stuff like that, man. I don't.
So who's she dating now?
Who knows? I don't
A
even
basketball
know.
player.
Yeah,
Dating a basketball player.
Yeah,
she got. Never. I ain't gonna comment on that.
I'm not.
Big old nothing burger.
A lot of people are like, "Oh, this is why." Listen, who would ever know? Even if that was the truth, that's all conjecture. No one knows. But listen, at the end of the day, you have a job to do every Sunday. Every man on that field has a job to do, and if you're not doing your job properly, not only are you not holding yourself accountable, but you're not being accountable to your teammates as well. And I do believe that there is an element to the conversation of everyone blaming the Panthers and saying, well, this is how you ruin a quarterback. And it was not a good situation for him last year. But there were just so many times where I felt there were plays to be made that were not made both last year and this year. And I believe has to own a large own benching.
I think it was.
I'm just going to throw this out there, if I may. Then I'll sit up for a while. Shout out to Bryce Young. Use your brains, dude. You went to Alabama. I know you got them. If there's a lady and she's traveling the sports athletes genre, she's not out for love. She's not out for love. She's out for that money y'all got.
Homie.
I mean, in my day, we call women like that a certain word that for the respect to C3, I'm not going to do that here.
They be on that curb pickle.
Can I say this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Ant.
I was just going to add, I just think with this whole thing, like there's a lot of conflicting things. Like David Newton said today, he's open to a trade or anything. And, then there's another article saying the Panthers view this as like kind of a reset. And like, so really like with this whole Bryce Young thing, we're just going to have to take it week by week. I mean, you never know, like something could pop out of the blue and they're like, Bryce Young is starting versus the Bengals or something. Like you never know really. And then, I agree. Like, I don't think the quarterback situation was bad. Like the team was bad. I don't think it was ready for any particular quarterback. Now, do I think some quarterbacks could have done better last year? Absolutely. But I don't think any quarterback would have made us a legit threat to win anything last year.
Anthony, if I may say, I heard some guys talk about this on NFL. I've heard Rich Gannon talk about this today. He talked for about an hour on it. No, I'm sorry, it was yesterday. Alex Smith talked about this some today. They both quickly said the same thing. The problem in Carolina goes back to what all the stuff you gave up to get a quarterback.
Yes.
He said the worst thing you could do is trade all your weapons to get a quarterback when you're not ready for one.
Who has not?
But that's what I
imagine keeping more. Imagine keeping Christian McCaffrey, and then fixing up your offensive line, and then drafting a quarterback.
And that's why I got hate for this too. I like the move. Like anytime a franchise goes up and they're like, let's try to get our franchise guy, I'm all for that. But when you gave up the supporting pieces to get him, it hurts. It really does.
Yeah.
Like you look at Caleb Williams right now, the dude is struggling worse than probably Bryce Young was through his first 2 weeks last year. And he's got weapons, but he does not look ready at all. So quarterback, it's such a hard position to hit on, man. It's just
and they really don't have a veteran to back up on. They really don't have a veteran quarterback to back up on. So
and bouncing off of that, like that comment said, this is how you destroy, or this is how you don't you fail at a first round quarterback, first number 1 overall pick or whatever. That leads to that point. Like we traded away all the things that he needed. And in the middle of the season, when we saw that our line was crumbling, and Christian, you talk about receipts. So like week 8, my receipts were, we need to get this little dude out of here before he gets destroyed or his confidence is destroyed. Like I knew right away that like leaving him out there with that line was gonna either break his confidence or it'd break his body. And like it didn't break him physically, but it might have done some damage mentally. So the benching shit, I was calling for it last November. I thought that putting him out there to start was a bad idea, but that was their decision. They didn't ask me.
Well, let me pose this to you. Is there any trade value or market for Bryce
Not yet.
Young?
No.
Like,
not yet.
In my opinion,
not right now.
whenever you hear these people saying, "Oh, they should do a 3-way trade between the Dolphins and the Rams," like, listen, they're all doing it just so that way they can have a collective laugh at Carolina. Everyone with half a brain knows that right now there is no positive value for the Carolina Panthers to get rid of Bryce Young. The 6th round pick you're likely to get in return for him is jack shit.
There's an ESPN article I posted earlier on Twitter that's a long article, and the idiot the gentleman who wrote the article went through an in-detail discussion of every single move. At the very bottom of it, he says, if you were to trade Bryce Young this year or next, the Panthers will likely get a late Saturday pick. In turn, folks, that means a 6th or 7th round pick.
Yeah, that's exactly. Bullshit. That's what I mean. Like, unless he starts, I'm sorry, Cody. Unless he starts, like the best case scenario, like everyone can agree that by week 12, we'll know if we're in the playoffs or not. You know what I mean? We're gonna know by week 12. So, like, if he comes back in, there's no harm in him coming back in and him trying to because his value is nothing until he wins a few games. It's nothing.
Well, part of what creates value too is you need to have competition. So you need at least 2 teams that really want his services, and the kind of offenses that benefit from a Bryce Young type of player aren't plentiful. Nor are there that many spots to compete for right now. So, but if you get a couple,
Arizona.
Kyler Murray, Call of Duty ain't out yet, bro. Maybe after Call of Duty comes out.
The landing spots that you normally hear,
the land of little quarterbacks.
The landing spots that you normally hear are the Miami Dolphins, which makes sense because of Tua. Well, I mean, again, the play style, but again, and then they say the Rams.
The Rams is the best position.
But dude, I take a lot of shit for this. Stetson Bennett and Bryce Young are the same player, man. Same build, same arm talent. Some big time numbers in the SEC. Like, I just don't know why the Rams would do that. To me, the most embarrassing thing is the fact that you traded DJ Moore to go up to number 1. Yeah. So Bryce wouldn't have a weapon to throw to, only for you to end up trading Brian Burns, who, by the way, the New York Giants
hasn't done shit.
Hasn't done shit.
But that's like everybody was saying that we lost that Brian Burns trade.
Where's the people at now? Where's the people that tell me we lost?
I heard shit from them. I heard some shit since the season started.
Yeah.
Can I bring this up?
Shout out to JT. I've been saying Stetson Bennett and Bryce Young is the perfect comparison, and one was drafted first overall, one was in the 4th round. So go ahead.
I know this whole mindset Tepper has about like, if your investment's going bad, just sink it and move on. But dude, there is no way that he is going to trade Bryce Young, trade all of that, give up all that for a 6th round pick. Like, there's no way.
There's no point.
There's no point.
And,
like, you might as well just keep him.
Right. And so cap wise, you're not gonna get $20,000 reward, and you're not gonna. I mean, y'all go over the cap and look into it thoroughly. You're gonna have negative cap. It gets outright stupid to trade Bryce Young at this point.
Tell him,
Keep him,
$20 million.
Keep him till next year.
Like 22.
See what happens.
Yeah. So
It's bad.
I wanted to make sure everyone can jump in on this from D's to. So let's go to D's next. D's, going back to the Bryce thing, and I know you talked about it a little bit, but now that we have moved on to Andy Dalton, what do you realistically think the chances are that this offense does look different? And another question tied to that, are people being too disrespectful from a media perspective of the weapons that Bryce Young has around him? Keep in mind, he was the least pressured quarterback. Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson were both open. But now there are Panther fans that are speaking bad on them. It's like, what do you think that too much blame is being put on the supporting cast of Bryce? And what do you think that Dalton will be able to do now that he's under center?
Well, part of the supporting cast for Bryce includes the front office. And if the national media wants to jump on the front office and how that's been ran for the last 6 or 7 years, then I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. It's been a real issue. Now, we've got a new regime in here now, and the new regime says that Bryce Young needs to sit for a little while. And the new regime says that Bryce Young needs to take a break. And I agree with the new regime. I think the new regime is here to help the Carolina Panthers become a better team. I think that's the clear focus that they have and what their intention is. Andy Dalton gives the Panthers and the coaching staff, a brand new coaching staff, an opportunity to look at this team and evaluate it differently, because we're trying to evaluate it with a rookie quarterback in there. I don't think, and I drew this same thing earlier, I don't think that New England Patriots media followers were trying to evaluate Drake May in the 4th quarter last night. It is weren't. And that's where we need to be with Bryce Young. We need to give him a chance to build and grow, because we looked worse than we did last year. And it's from the offenses of last year. It's from the things that Scott Fitterer did. Bro, and we're trying, and the media is trying to literally bait the Panthers into not buying low and selling high. That's what we need to do. We need to buy low. We need to sell high. You don't do the opposite. And unloading Bryce right now is the exact opposite. You're selling low. And how much pushback did we get from the Christian McCaffrey trade and the Brian Burns trade as well? Both of those things we sold low. You sell when they're at the height of it. And best case scenario, and it doesn't happen like this, best case scenario, Dave Tepper buys a team in 2015 when we're at our height. And he sees for himself. He looks into the locker room. He converses with the players on the team. And he sees what a good team looks like in the NFL. But that's not how it goes. Owners become brand new owners in the NFL when teams are doing poorly. So they take over and they don't know what a good team looks like, and they make mistakes, and they hire GMs like Scott Fitterer to go out here and make trades of legacy players that don't benefit the team moving forward. We didn't get a bag of beans for the CMC trade and the guys on the cover of Madden this year. It was clear we've made so many mistakes, and we were making mistakes with Bryce Young last season. I was like screaming in week 5, hey, don't you think we should sit him? Like, it doesn't look too good with him out there. Y'all really wanted to get sacked 4 or 5 times a game or whatever we were doing? These are clear-cut mistakes by the Panthers front office. Cam Newton even came out and spoke to it on his podcast this week. He said, Bryce Young, you need to go to the owner and you need to say, I see we have a new president, sir. I see we have a new general manager, sir. I see we have another head coach, sir. Why am I being replaced as a quarterback when we have all these new people in positions? Why are we changing me out? And I think Cam was right in what and I didn't quote it verbatim, Chat. I know Chat's owned one tonight. Chat's killing it. But that's essentially what he said, and he had a great point. It is the offenses of the front office, but that's just how it goes in the NFL. Brand new owners don't buy teams at the pinnacle; they buy them at the bottom, and of course they buy them at the bottom because they're smart business people, and that's what you do. You buy low, you sell high, and that's why you don't trade Bryce Young right now because you're selling low.
Absolutely. And let me go to Alex Britt Panther. Alex, go ahead, man.
All right. I personally don't think we'll trade him at all. I can see him coming back, and I'm holding on to the idea of a resurgence and a comeback and going on and becoming something that we can be proud of. My real question for you, to be fair, was more around when do you think you'll see him next? When do you think his next big opportunity will be to play? My personal opinion, I think it's week 10 when we play in Germany against the Giants. I don't think they are very good, personally. So I think that's a good opportunity to play a team that are probably going to be fourth in their group as well. And I think it's a good opportunity for him to play in front of a crowd that, let's be frank, aren't going to be as knowledgeable about what they're watching, aren't going to be as... you get a mixture of fans. They're not going to be diehard Panthers and Giants fans there. They're going to be fans of whatever NFL team. So they're not going to be that invested in how well Bryce is doing. I think that's a perfect opportunity to put him back in front of a crowd and give him that run out again. Without all of the American media attention and all of the hype around him. It'll almost be a little bit like a preseason game, in my opinion.
So let me ask you this in return, Alex. Do you do that? Okay, so do you do that under any circumstance, or is that only if Andy Dalton looks serviceable? But what if Andy comes out and let's just say he lights up the Raiders and then starts to get some momentum on the offense? Do you make it a point to try and put Bryce back under center no matter what's happening? Or do you just base it off the results and how Andy Dalton is playing at quarterback?
I mean, assuming that we're not forced to bring him back in sooner because of an injury or something like that.
Right.
I think week 10 is far enough into the season to sort of see where you are in terms of where are we going to finish? Are we going to finish, are we looking at playoffs, which at this point we're almost certainly not going to be. So assuming that's still going to be the case, assuming that Dalton isn't going to come in and, set the world alight, I probably would play him in pretty much any circumstances. If we go, and win the next 8 games or whatever it is between now and then, or the next 7 games between now and then obviously you've got to look at that and go, whoa, fucking hell, we've got something here. There's a chance that we could make the playoffs. And in that case, probably put the team before the player and say, carry on as you are. But I think that's almost impossible. So unless you have an extreme circumstance like that, I would play him, personally. I think, as I said before, like the amount of pressure that he's been under, there's bound to be something happen between now and week 10 that people forget a little bit about Bryce, and people forget the fact that, he is the one that everybody's interested in, everyone's watching. Something must happen between now and then that's going to take the limelight off him a little bit. And I think that would be a good time to bring him back in when they're not even in the country.
Yeah, no, like I said, I want to see him again. I want to see him. To me, the whole situation is just dependent upon what happens now, and just how this team looks moving forward, and just as an offense, if we're able to look like we have a sign of life, like, dude, we have no downfield passing attack, none at all whatsoever.
I mean, that was fucking shocking that we seen the other day. Like, the first week was atrocious. We've all waited 7 months for that, and for the first throw to be an interception was hugely deflating. And then to go in the second game, and I don't think he made a pass beyond fucking 3 yards or something. It seemed like every single pass he actually attempted seemed to be sideways. I think that to me is confidence and says lack of belief in himself, and almost he thinks that his next throw is going to be an interception. And I think that it was that Bobby before was saying that it's a sign of weakness that he it's letting slip into his game. It is a sign of mental weakness, but I think as much as it's sort of like the tide will leave, your confidence will leave with it, but equally you have a couple of performances in the other direction and the tide will come back, as will the confidence, and suddenly you could be looking at a totally different player. I think the timing of when we're bringing back in, and we have to give him the best opportunity to possibly succeed. And I think that's when we'll start seeing a bit of confidence come back, and we'll start seeing the player that we hoped he was going to be. We have seen it. I know he's only played 17 games or something like that in the last 2 years in his rookie season, and now we have seen little bits here and there where he has it or he can do it. But I think you need a little bit of a run where he does that consistently to see it much longer going further into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, the point has been made here by multiple people now that he shouldn't have started. And you look at other teams that are forcing their rookie quarterback to start, and it doesn't look good. These quarterbacks are not coming into the NFL as finished product, and that's clear to see by everyone now. The Panthers should have had a better plan to help slowly adapt Bryce's game to the NFL. It's clear that he had lots that he needed to work on. I did want to pivot around moving forward now. Like I mentioned earlier, Chuba Hubbard is running the ball at 6.5 yards a clip. Like, we're running the football effectively. Go in there, put Andy under center, make them run the fuck out of the football, play the time, the clock, and just run the ball out. To me, that's a scenario for success. And you set up those few opportunities to pass with Andy Dalton, we might be all right. What is your gut feeling telling you about the Panthers' ability to beat the Vegas Raiders coming up here this Sunday? Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, I'll answer that, but wanted to just say something real quick about the Bryce thing. I'm going to go out on a limb here and go against the grain and say, honestly, right now, I would put Jack Plummer in before Bryce. And, barring any, of course, leave Andy in there, but I'll tell you why. And unless like Bryce does some prison time and comes out like a different man, I need to see some dog in him. I need to see it, because if we just do the same thing over again, his confidence is just going to get more shot. I need to see him with that comeback story of the year. Everyone cheering for him because they can all see it in his eyes that he's ready to take the bull by the horns. But honestly, I would play Jack Plummer before I play him again, unless he has that in his eyes. But what was your question about?
How do you feel about this Sunday? Do the Panthers have a chance to look better against the Raiders? And how did you feel about our chances to win now that Dalton is under center?
Oh, dude, come on. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive. I mean, I ain't going to sit here and say he's going to put up 400 and we're going to win in a blowout, but I am confident it'll be more competitive. If it's not, then I don't know, man. I don't know that I'm going to need some therapy after that, but I'm confident, dude. I think he's reliable. I don't think he's going to just, blow the roof off, but I can't, barring any injury, knock on wood, I think he can be pretty steady for us. And we were talking about this in the last Friday free for all with CK. I think if we have a competitive team, the schedule is favorable to us. So
yeah, the Bengals are not a very good
I like
team
that
right
ice
now.
cream pickle.
Yeah, the Bengals, we have played them in week 4. They're not looking too great right now. The Raiders, Gardner Minshew at quarterback, like our quarterback situation might be better than theirs. I think, don't tell Tony Dunn, I would prefer Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, baby, over Gardner Minshew. Pickle reported earlier that one of their linebackers, I believe, is now hurt for the year. So that's another chip out of their defense. I don't know, man. I think there's a chance for the Panthers to fuck around and accidentally catch a couple W's here, man. Am I being too optimistic? Or is there anyone here that believes that this team is about to look just as terrible this Sunday and everyone's still going to be laughing at us no matter what?
I think our defense is going to look worse. I really do.
Okay.
We ain't got nobody on that line, pickle.
We don't. But that being said, offensively wise, I think we'll move the ball a lot better. But you got to remember,
I'll bet on that.
I myself is holding back from saying we're going to score a bunch. I just have to see it. That's all. I believe too much and get disappointed. I want to see it. I like Andy. Don't misunderstand that. I do. But Andy's 36 years old. The last time he started a game was the Seattle game last year. He's been injured since then. So the offensive line should be better. But at the same time, they know the Raiders aren't dumb. They know Andy Dalton has no mobility.
Yes,
so he's just a statue in the pocket.
We can run faster than Andy Dalton.
For as much as Chuba Hubbard gives you in the running game, he gives you as bad in the passing game. Because that man can't block nothing. He spends more time on his ass than he did. If I'm Andy Dalton and they send Chuba Hubbard to help pass block, I'm going after and say, Bryce, come in here and pass block. You can't be worse than Chuba Hubbard.
So besides Adams, who do the Raiders have? That's scary. Because I'm willing to bet, and Pickle, I'm debating whether or not I should bet you.
Bowers? Yeah, Brock Bowers is really good. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he really is.
That was their first round pick this year.
Yeah, it was.
They still have Devontae Adams.
I'm feeling good about the defense this week.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going out on a limb. I get it. We've struggled.
Yeah, you are.
But also, look, let me throw this in there.
You really are. I mean, we can't stop the run. We don't rush.
We can't do nothing.
It's so hard. Listen, it's so hard to evaluate the defense when the offense can never do anything. It's 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and then your defense is on the field, and they're tired.
I do like their running back.
I feel like now
from Georgia,
we might finally be able to see what our defense is capable of if we're ever able to pin our ears back and hunt the quarterback. Now, we don't have the talent at the edge position that we've had before, but right now they're still not able to stop the run. And I think like many others, am tired of the 34.
Let's go over our starting defensive line, y'all. Okay? Let's go over our future starting defensive line.
Do we have to?
Yes. Yes, we do. Go ahead.
You're the one that told me you was going to bet me. So here's how it is.
I still don't want to talk about the
Peavy and LeBron LeRae. That's your starting defensive line. Jordan, Nick Thurman, LeBron LeRae, and Jordan Peavy. Because Ashawn Robinson's got a foot problem, and so does Shy Tuttle. That could very realistically be your starting defensive line come Sunday.
That's true.
Followed by your linebacker core. You followed by your linebacker core.
We gotta hope he plays.
Javavian Clowney and or Charles Harris and DJ Johnson.
Yeah, so we're looking at it right here. Nick Thurman, Shy Tuttle, and Ashawn Robinson. Dude, it is abysmal without Derek Brown. in that lineup. It's a bunch of, who's who once upon a times. Yeah, a bunch of who's motherfuckers. People that were once upon a time good football players. And, to start the year, we thought the strength of our defense was in the interior of that D line. And, man, now we're just struggling up and down the line.
I don't think Shy Tuttle plays. I think Shy Tuttle's out, and I think we literally improve on the defensive line from Shy Tuttle being out. He was horrible all last year. We watched him on defense, guys. We were dead last. We allowed more rushing touchdowns than any other team in the league last year. Right. And then on top of that, Shy Tuttle's been absolutely bullied so far this season. Him being hurt now is a plus for us. I think that A'Shawn Robinson comes into this game as questionable, and he plays. And we're not going to have a pass rush. That's a good point by Cody. But, our secondary has looked pretty good. Not talking about our safeties, but our corners have looked good. Mike Jackson might have been the star for the Panthers, honestly, in the first 2 games, considering how anemic our offense has been. He's had some PBUs. He saved our ass in 101 on the outside, which you told me, Cody, was a big problem for these Carolina Panthers coming into this season. So we should be freaking out about the defensive line. There's not a lot of talent there. But, damn it, if we give some young guys like Peavy some run instead of a Shy Tuttle, well, man, it might come out to be okay. He might get a sack and a half. And then we're standing out here going, well, maybe he was a diamond in the rough. So, the defensive line is bad. I agree with that. But it's not like the Raiders can run the football anyway. The chat's going off about it right now. They've been saying it to us that they can't run the football. And that's what they will this week. They're really bad at. We'll see. Maybe they can. Maybe they can run the football against the Panthers. But maybe these guys man up a little bit and fight back and hold off a shitty running game coming in here or we're going to go see it in Las Vegas.
I heard that last year, though, D's, and I hate to be the Debbie Downer, but, there was a game last year when they said, oh, well, our defense is getting better, and they're really bad at running, and they fucking ran all over us. So, I hope that doesn't happen, but with all the starting 3 potentially out, hopefully A'Shawn plays, but potentially with all 3 of them out, I like that we're playing very well in special teams and we're very turnover happy because the only way to compensate for not being good on defense through, the majority of the time, which I seen a chat that said time of possession is going to change. Absolutely. Time of possession is going to absolutely change the way that this defense looks. We should have had 3 turnovers last week in the first quarter. And I remember a 2015 Carolina Panthers team that would go up 21-0 in the first quarter and ride that lead the whole way through the game, and that's the way they did it. And I see the silver lining, but yeah, last week was pretty rough.
Yeah, go ahead, Jake. I think Jake was in there. Go ahead, Jake.
My bad. My bad. I was sending the message back. I just want to say I don't know if any of y'all play fantasy, but if you do, I don't care who we playing opposite team wise. Whoever they have as running back, you might as well get him on fantasy because they almost guarantee to get 100.
Hey, real quick, our man Alex, Brit Panther has to jump out of here. I know it's really late over where you're at, brother. We always thank you for coming on the show and give us your final words for the free-for-all, and who are you predicting to win this Sunday as the Panthers play the Las Vegas Raiders?
Well, the heart is saying Panthers, but the betting account is saying the Raiders. I think it's probably going to stay that way for a little while. My closing thoughts, to be fair, though, I just wanted to remind everyone that obviously, as much as we all chat on here, we have different opinions on everything, we all ultimately want the same thing at the end of the day. We're all here because we want to see the Panthers be successful. And just because you agree, you think one thing, somebody else completely disagrees, that doesn't mean either of you are, more right than each other. But everyone has to just remember to be respectful to each other. And at the end of the day, C3 is what it is because we're family. Yes, just remember that, everyone in chat. Keep it real. Probably speak to you next week. Take it easy.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you,
Keep
Alex.
pounding.
Cheers.
Sleep
man.
well,
man.
brother. Keep
Pounding,
pounding,
lads.
man. Keep
Yes.
pounding. And just a reminder to everybody who may have joined late. At the top of our YouTube chat, we have pinned a link to a GoFundMe. Our podcast co-host.
Come on, man. Let's help brother Greg out.
Yeah, Greg lost
I
his
mean,
wife yesterday morning
Just imagine if you was in that situation, y'all.
in a
Just think
tragic
about it.
car accident. It's been very stunning for their entire family. So if you would like to donate to that cause and to help them with all the arrangements, the link is pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. Anything and everything that you could possibly donate is so incredibly appreciated by their family at this point in time. Again, rest in peace to Ashley Schlager. Today is in her honor as we attempt to raise money for Greg and his family. If you would like to donate, whatever you can, anything tiny, anything at all, it would be greatly appreciated to Greg and their family. Boys, I want to continue to talk about the Raiders. What are some of your interesting matchups that you're looking forward to? Is it just running the ball and stopping the run? Or do you think we have a couple receivers that might be looking to turn it on and show out this week?
Well, let me take the easy one. I want the easy one. I want the unstoppable force comes against the immovable object. And that's exactly what we're coming into in this matchup against Las Vegas. They're dead last in running the ball. And guess who's dead last in stopping the run? That's right. It's your Carolina Panthers. So somebody's going to win this matchup is what I was getting at earlier. Either the Raiders are going to be able to run the football against the worst run-stopping defense in the league, suffering injuries, as you guys were just talking about, or we're going to have some young guys step up and play better than the sorry-ass Carolina Panthers we've seen since last season. And I'm going to go ahead and say I think we got at least a chance to stop their running game coming up this Sunday. I'll let you guys handle the wide receivers.
Yeah, man. So I know that I'll play the video here in a second. Xavier Legette was frustrated by the lack of targets that he had been receiving. I think that he's a guy that might have he might be a candidate for a big breakout game. That's one I'm certainly hoping is a breakout game or a breakout player. Boys, what are some other players that you're hoping break out in a big way?
J.C. Horn.
Jatavion Sanders.
JT Sanders. So why first let me go to why J.C. Horn? You think he'll continue to be a shutdown corner against Minshew?
I think he's kind of angry though, and he was talking about how people was talking about he got 2 touchdowns scored on him and stuff like that. He's like, what? They won both scored on me. I think he's gonna go out there and he's gonna lock up Devontae Adams, man. I really do, and I think I'm like, that's our cornerback.
No. Yeah. And yeah, he had one against the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert threw it right to him, but my man grabbed that ball out the air with them wide receiver hands. So I'm all for it, man. And then Deontay Johnson. Who said Deontay Johnson? Was that you, Kyle?
I said Jatavion Sanders.
Oh, Jatavion Sanders. Tell me why you said Jatavion Sanders.
So Andy Dalton, being a veteran quarterback, knows how to work the middle of the field and how to pull safeties and how to move linebackers with his eyes. So JT Sanders is going to have a lot of inside crossing routes, inside seam routes. The Andy Dalton, the veteran quarterback, is going to know how to hit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So just some more from the tight end position by a veteran quarterback that knows how to utilize them. No, that's a great answer. Does anyone say Xavier Legette might have a turn-on game, or am I alone in that? Or
no, it's time. It's time. It's time. It's time to get XL in the lineup. It's time to give XL an opportunity. Do we need to go ahead and start Mingo ahead of him again this week? We already benched our quarterback. Isn't it time to bench Mingo? He fumbled the ball twice. Now, only one of them was ruled a fumble. But still, we can't be sloppy with the football out there on the field. And it's not like Mingo has done a fantastic job of dragging his toes on the sideline. We saw that once again week 1 where he was unable to do that, make the catch on the sideline. Remember the horrible play that he had last year where he jumped out of bounds catching the football rather than dragging his toes. So, yeah, it's time to put XL in the game. It's time to get XL involved in the offense. A lot of Panthers fans were critical and quick to point out the fact that in the media session of practice, we ran a reverse to Adam Thielen. And I would only hope and like to think and want to envision that it wouldn't be Adam Thielen getting a reverse end around as a wide receiver in the game. That it would be someone like XL that we haven't gotten involved in the offense. The man had his entire family from Mullins, South Carolina, up at Bank of America Stadium. Some of the few fans that showed up for the Panthers opening game.
Yep.
And they didn't see a single target to XL. And now it's time to get him involved in this Dave Canales offense. Do an end around with XL. Take a shot on him downfield. Maybe Bryce Young was scared to take those shots from the interceptions that they already thrown to begin the season. And that makes a lot of sense to me. So now you bring in a fresh quarterback, a guy that's anxious to play and wants to get his opportunity to play again in the NFL before the sun finally sets on his career. And, yeah, maybe he throws one up to XL. And I would love to give XL some opportunities to get some yak yards as well. Like we saw that 3rd and 2.
Somebody feeding the fishes out here.
Yeah, goldfish is hungry. But it was like a screenplay on 3rd and 2. It ended up being an inaccurate pass to Adam Thielen. That should have been a ball that would have went to a guy like XL. At his size and his speed, there's no reason why we shouldn't get him involved in those types of plays in the offense. And I hope to see this Sunday. If we don't see it Sunday, Cody, I really might start questioning some of these decisions that we're making on offense.
Yeah, and listen, we haven't really had an opportunity to speak a lot about Brad Idzik and his role in this offense because so much of the question has been around Bryce and what is this offense with or without him. I will say one thing, man. When you listen to Panthers receivers, I've listened to Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, and now Xavier Leggett, and they all seem pretty excited about what they might be able to do with Andy Dalton under center.
It's a little frustrating, but I mean we got 15 more games, so I can't dwell on that. I just got to see what's up there for me this upcoming game.
I don't know if you've already asked, but obviously the receivers, you just catch balls whoever's throwing it to you. But is there anything that you want to work with Andy to say, hey, this is something in particular for me that'll be helpful?
Oh man, the deep ball. That's something I feel like I'm good at, and that's something that we've been working every day at the practice.
We want that deep ball, baby. I love this dude, by the way, man. I really, really badly want him to be successful.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be talking about another, failed attempt at a first-round quarterback. I mean, that's why I'm really hoping that Andy Dalton can do this. And again, the one time that we saw Andy Dalton last year, he threw for almost 400 yards with the far inferior receiving core. So I'm pumped right now. And again, there's like this. I know I'm on Twitter too much. Okay, I think we all know that I am on Twitter too much. But there's like a portion of the fan base that is almost like mad at the receivers that they're not falling on the sword for Bryce and that they're choosing to be optimistic about Andy Dalton. And to me, that's just cornball, man. Like so many of us people. And by the way, you know what else it is? It's damn hypocritical.
Yeah, it's flat out ignorance.
So many of us who were, labeled anti-Bryce were called anti-Panther fans for keeping it real about Bryce. And then now people have no problem throwing other members of the Carolina Panthers under the bus just to help Bryce save face. To me, that's not fair, and it's unfair, that hypocritical nature of it when people are or aren't supposed bad Panther fans. To me, it's just very, very dumb, very, very stupid. I like that our receivers are excited about what they might be able to do this Sunday.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Cody, if I may say, you know what? I've been guilty of this here in the last year. I'll own up to it. Criticizing somebody because another Panther fan because they have a different opinion is jackass stupid. Okay, it just is. Saying that they're not a Panther fan because they have a different opinion is just pathetically ignorant. I know I've done it, and there's no cause for that in the NFL in the fan base, and there's no cause for especially a person who represents C3 to do that, because in this fan base, to be honest, right now we need all the fans we got. We all suffering. You can't call yourself a Panther fan and be happy about what's going on. Even if you want us to get a bunch of draft picks, you can't be happy about what's going on. Okay, there's just no room of it. And we all need to stick together as Panther fans, accept the fact that people have different opinions. And in the end, I'll understand that, listen, none of us read the future. Okay? Some of us stuck up for Bryce Young, kicked and screamed and ran. Shoot, there was a time I used to get into it with G-Baby on this very show over why I didn't want Bryce. But we drafted Bryce because I told G-Baby once, I said, if we draft him, I'll be the biggest fan. We drafted him, and I was always been behind him. But, life goes on. Sometimes things are wrong. You can't predict what somebody else is going to do in their NFL career. And that's what us fans are trying to do. Project and predict what a guy's going to do. If the entire NFL knew how good CJ Stroud was going to be, the Panthers wouldn't have enough ammunition to trade up.
Yeah.
Because some of these teams would have offered everything, including their children, up to get that draft pick. And the Texans and the Bears would have gave everybody the bird and said, no, I'm keeping it.
To me, the biggest thing that the Panthers have continuously done wrong since David Tepper bought the team is a lack of proper talent evaluation. One, first and foremost, the talent on your own team. Like, you're going to hit some draft picks. You're going to fail to get some draft picks. But you have to know what you have on your team and if you have the guys to be able to compete. And with so much turnaround at the coaching position, in the front office, there has just been such an utter lack of a proper evaluation of the talent that the Carolina Panthers have. And that's been a real detriment to this organization. And then you don't draft well on top of that, and it's a compound effect. Everything just continues to spiral out of control and get worse. Hey, am I weird to think that Adam Thielen might have a big game? Like, it just depends on how much we want to pass the ball, but Adam Thielen was open. He was open last Sunday, and he was a 1,000-yard receiver last year. So, I don't know, man. Like, we need to look up the Raiders' secondary at some point. But overall, like, where do you think the matchup is? Is it J.C. Horn on Devontae Adams? Like, is that the match that everybody's sort of looking for as the marquee showdown this Sunday? Or is it just Dalton? Like, what are we looking for specifically to win or lose this game this Sunday?
I'm looking straight at Dalton. I think that I want him to show out. I know he's a veteran, but I kind of want him just to come onto the scene and just take control of it. And but I did like Kyle's Jatavian Sanders pick. One thing that I'd like to add to that is that if he wants some bulletin material, just think about how high his counterpart in this game was picked compared to him. So maybe he could show out versus Brock Bowers. Actually show some. So, but yeah, I mean, I trust Horn. I don't really need to see him. So I trust he's going to hold it down. If he makes a mistake, he makes a mistake. But I'm really looking at Andy Dalton and then just in general how the rest of the team plays with him behind the helm.
I think Andy Dalton's going to have a good game, y'all. I really do. I think Andy Dalton's going to have a really good game. I'm not saying like he's going to come out and look like an MVP quarterback or nothing like that, but I do think he's going to have a good game.
And by the way, Easy Crepe got accidentally banned. Easy, I will undo that. So if you're in the chat, don't worry. Just stick around, brother. We'll make sure you get back in the chat. Go ahead to whoever was getting ready to speak.
Okay, well, if anybody's going to speak, I'll speak. Because, Panther Pickle, he always got something running his mouth. The one thing I want to shout out, three Panther players who are doing a phenomenal, amazing job, have been perfection this year. One of them even was perfect last year. And we need to show more love and kudos to long snapper JJ Jansen. He's always been perfect.
Always.
The other day, I heard him talking about him on XM radio, because they got this little thing once a week where they bring in the head of the referees and they talk to him about just odd questions about the week. And one of the odd questions I asked him this week was, name an NFL player that you would love to see be a ref one day. And the guy said, JJ Jansen, Panthers long snapper. He said, we actually have referees that will ask him what he thinks of a call. He said, I had to put a stop to that this week. I said, you can't go ask a long snapper of a team what do they think of this call. You can't do that. But shout out to JJ the man. Also, and the other guy is the punter and the kicker. They've been doing their jobs real good. Shout out to him, special team court.
Shout out to him. Kyle, did you have something you wanted to add in on this?
What was the original question so I can get back on a topic?
Well, I mean, we're pretty much talking about what is going to be the matchup that you're going to be looking forward to the most.
Oh, the matchup. Okay. I'm going to be. Oh yeah, you mentioned the run offense versus our run defense. So I'm going to say I'm going to be looking at Horn and Devontae Adams all day. We're going to see who the better player is, and I hate to think that it's Devontae because he's fucking phenomenal. But at the same time, like, can Garner outplay Andy? And, Garner Minshew, doesn't exactly put the ball where the receiver needs it all the time. So, maybe we get lucky.
Yeah. How about Miles Sanders? Is there any room for him in this offense, or do we just need to pound the rock with Chuba Hubbard?
I mean, I think you should use Miles Sanders when the running game isn't working and beat his brains in, because we paid a shitload of money for him, and he needs to, get that back somewhere, one way or another. And if it's not going to be production, it should be lack of. But then you throw Chuba in, and he gets a bunch of yards, because I also want Chuba to play a lot and get himself a contract somewhere else, so that we can refresh that room and get away from all the players we've had for the last 5 to 6 years. Because we keep like adding people, and they all look the same. They're all like one-cut elusive backs. Like, we need to clear-cut identification. Because we see NFL teams now, they just use the two running back system. Like, they have a cutback that's good at catching the ball, and then they have a power back that's good at like running and pass blocking. So like that's what I want to see them do. And if either Miles Sanders or Chuba Hubbard could pass block in a good way, I would say keep them. But then they don't. So I would say, you know what I mean. I'm in the mindset of get you a big guy later on, but since we have Miles Sanders, I think you should just abuse him like he's a tire.
If he can get any yards, though, shit.
Yeah,
Jonathan Brooks is on his way, y'all.
Yeah, he is on his way. And if we could end the season saying that Jonathan Brooks is a star for the Carolina Panthers going into next year, I think a lot of Panthers fans would be excited. But my question is, why did Dave Canales put Miles Sanders in the game last week? Why did he get all those carries in the second half? We saw how fired up the team was around Chuba Hubbard getting our first down of the game with an 11-yard run. And we saw Hunt celebrating and getting the rest of the team fired up along with Chuba. But yet we go to a passing play right after that, the very next play, and throw an interception with Bryce Young. And you talk about Dave Canales making this move to save the locker room, and it might have been right there. It might have been from Dave's play call. We should have done what Cody said and stuck with the run. Chuba getting 6.4 yards a carry. That's freaking insane. I think that was the number anyway. We need to stick with Chuba this game. Don't put Miles Sanders out there. I don't know what they did. Maybe they did it because of what Panther Pickle said, because of the pass blocking from Chuba was so bad. And we know that's been a problem for him. We really do. They worked on it last year. He got a little better, but we saw it rear its ugly head again last week. Like, he got completely run over. He has got to get his base behind him and stop standing straight up with a rusher coming at him full speed. That is not a recipe for success. I don't care if he can deadlift 650 pounds. You can't stand straight up and take an impact like that. You've got to have a better base. So, moving forward, why? First of all, I want to know why y'all think Dave Canales played Miles Sanders. Is it just a product of evaluation, or are they literally trying to put him on the trading block? Which one do you guys think it is?
I think it's the product of the evaluation. I think his cap is too high to be traded. But if somebody wants him, and that's my opinion, there may be a team out there who really doesn't care how big his contract is. If Panthers pay him the bonus money, they'll pay the rest. So that's how a lot of these trades for these overpriced players are. The team that gets the player will say, you pay him all his guaranteed and we'll pay the salary. And then that's a deal that we have to take.
And hey, real quick, my apologies to Easy Crepe in the chat room. He got accidentally timed out for something like 86,000 seconds or whatever. I just spent the last 10 minutes trying to undo it. I don't know if I can. I'll continue to look into it and get you back in here, brother. Yeah, to all my moderators, just be careful how you moderate the chat. Don't accidentally take somebody out. It was just an accident, so we'll get it all sorted out, man.
I've done it more than once.
It's always an
more
accident.
than once. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did it once, and then Tony had to fix it. I think it was.
Well, and the thing is that he wasn't even banned. Like, I almost wish that he was banned, because then I can undo that. But he was just timed out for a crazy amount of time, and I can't undo the timeout. I wish it would give me the options to do that.
Yeah, Cody, I know the feeling of what it's like to get kicked out of a chat for no reason.
Yeah.
Hey, tell about the Tennessee boys.
Yeah, you run your list.
Let me try one more thing, though.
Yeah, and if folks, when you're looking on your chat, a lot of you see the little symbol at the bottom. That had always caused to me a lot of issues. When I goof up, sometimes I'll try to delete my text because I've misspelled it or it doesn't sound right. And one time I was trying to do that, and I actually deleted a guy's post. When I tried to fix that, I deleted somebody else's post. I ended up blocking him, and I'm like, "What the hell? Did I fix this yet?" And I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So Tony and Cody had to fix it. And since then, I learned how to remove that little box out of my way, so I'm a lot better now. So,
yeah, I'm trying to undo.
Yeah,
I wonder if this will work.
Yeah, I actually looked that up once on how to undo
that. I messed up a few times when I'm a co-host on the Legion Spaces or whatever. I'll be people be talking and I mute everybody. I've done it to Tony by on accident, and I've done it to somebody else on accident.
All right, so Easy Crepe, if you're there, I made you a moderator. I think that might have undone it. And then I'll.
Got a promotion.
Yeah, but I think if I did that, because it was something like 86,000 seconds or something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But
So
I think
if you're there,
I
type
just did
something
the
in the
calculation.
chat, see if you can't post.
That's almost 24 hours.
If you're on Twitter, hit me up.
Oh, so they weren't doing that much. Well, either way, I got a promotion. But yeah, man, listen, we absolutely appreciate y'all being on this show tonight, man. Dude, this is so much has been happening, y'all, that it's like to be able to talk about the Carolina Panthers with y'all. It's such a blessing. Shout out to G Baby in the chat, man. G Baby, what's up, bro? And by the way, also just to remind people, tonight is in honor of Greg's wife, who just recently passed away in a car crash, very tragically yesterday. And the link that is pinned to the top of the YouTube chat is their GoFundMe as they raise money for the arrangements and all of the things that are going on with their family. Very, very sad, very, very tragic. C3's family, and we want to
Come
make
on,
sure
yo. We
that
can almost reach that goal. Let's
yeah,
get
man.
that.
Listen, in a very short amount of time, we've raised over $2,000 since this morning. So, hey, man, anything that you could donate, that would be absolutely wonderful. We would appreciate y'all. It is the top link that's pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. And today is in honor of Greg and Ashley Schlager and their two daughters, who are now
1,550, and you'll reach that goal.
Almost there to 10,000. And man, we've raised since the time that we've been on, I mean, damn near $1,000. So y'all are incredible. We appreciate y'all, man. And yeah, man, this is for Ashley and Greg and their entire family. And we appreciate y'all. C-Dog, it's at the very top of the chat. So in the YouTube chat, you should be able to see the link. And just to be safe, I will post it in the YouTube chat right now. One more time. One moment.
I can get it.
Nope, I got it. One sec. Yep. Pickle posted it, and then I'll post it one more time.
Yeah.
Those are the links to donate. Greg, Michael, not Craig. Greg, our podcast co-host every Tuesday night. The Bat Daddy, as you might know him, is the best beard in all of Panthers podcasting. Very sad for him and his family, and we appreciate y'all for donating. Gentlemen, I think we're going to get into the home stretch of the show here, and we're going to get into your final predictions for the matchup this Sunday. Unless there's something else pertaining to the team that you would like to mention. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up before we close out the show tonight?
I have one of those, like, I'll tell you why I'm mad moments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I am so sick of the media. It's just like they see the Panthers and they just want to kick them whenever they're down throughout the years.
Yeah.
I never see this treatment for any other team. Granted, I don't follow them, but I mean, come on, guys. Like, it's bad. It's horrible. I don't know where it comes from. I feel like they have some kind of vendetta against the team because like Mike Florio, who used the Jets as an example to just diss on us, even though it hasn't worked out with Bryce yet. But how many times did the Jets screw up? Did Mike Florio ever talk about how the quarterbacks coming out in the next year's draft should boycott the Jets? Come on,
Nope.
That's ridiculous.
So
that is absolutely ridiculous. So
No,
I wouldn't
Florio hates freaking Tampa. Florio always takes every opportunity he has to completely trash David Tepper. I don't know why that is, Pickle, but every time, man, he did it about 4 times last season, Pickle, from what I heard.
Yeah, man.
Right.
And
right.
Hey, let me welcome in a very special friend of the podcast, our guy C3 Nova Black in the building. Nova,
What up?
Nova,
What up,
how are you
Nova?
doing?
Up, man.
Nova, can you hear me? I don't know if you're muted or not. Okay, we'll give Nova a second. But yeah, man, I did want to piggyback off of that, though, that, this idea that people should boycott the Panthers. That's so dumb, man, because one, if you don't believe yourself to be a good enough player to go to any team and be their quarterback for the future, bro, I don't want you. We already have a quarterback that doesn't have a lot of confidence. Why would I want another one? You know what I'm saying? Especially from these players that would supposedly pass us up, like Shedeur Sanders or Manning. People are already talking about Arch. And to me, that's just nonsense, man. I think a lot of that comes from their family name rather than the men themselves. So I don't want to be too unfair. But the idea that people should stiff the Panthers and not go number one because of David Tepper, they said that about the Browns. They said that about the Bengals. They said that about the Bears last year. Every time there's a first overall pick with the team that has been in the doldrums for a long time, this is the conversation around it. So it doesn't surprise me, but I just don't think that would happen. And if it does, I don't want that quarterback around my team. Let me see if we have Nova Black here. Nova, do we have you, brother? What's up? No, still not hear you, man.
I just hope we don't have an Eli Manning situation. And the only reason why I bring that up is because the media right now is kicking us down the road, basically. And it's so easy to pick on us right now because how bad we've been. But I just hate that. I hate to even mention that's a possibility, but the Eli Manning situation, it kind of proves that it could happen.
Yeah, but that's another reason why. That's another reason why the Andy Dalton experiment is so critical. If you throw Andy out there, Andy makes the receivers look legit. He makes the offensive line look legit. The defensive all of a sudden figures out how to stay the rest of pasture because maybe if we get real lucky, the other team has a deficit, then it's going to make things look better. It's going to make people. It's going to make guys like Mike Florio shut up. I mean, Mike Florio gets on these warpaths against an owner. He hates owners, and the owners don't like him. He just does. I mean, he often does that. He goes on a tirade after the Browns had traded for Deshaun Watson. He was on them for over a year.
But real
everything
quick,
they did was a hate.
That's fine. Hate on Tepper. Don't like the team. Get your clicks, but. To for what he said, that's out of bounds. I agree. I do agree. Boycott, and then if you guys don't remember, last year or no, a year and a half ago, whenever it was, when we didn't hire Steve Wilkes, Skip Bayless was on the air talking about how all the players should boycott the team for not hiring Wilkes. I mean that it's all for clicks, and it's just infuriating.
Yeah, not only that, it's a bunch of garbage, is what it is, Christian. It's an absolute bunch of garbage because we had David Newton in the locker room with Bryce Young yesterday for 8 or 11 minutes, whatever it was. And when he got his opportunity to ask his questions, they were the most disrespectful questions you would ask a number one overall pick being benched in the second week of this second season. It was absolutely disgusting. And then he twists the truth all around. And what Bryce had to say in his article today, gathering up even more fervor against these Carolina Panthers and everything that's been going on with us since Dave Tepper took over. And it's disgusting to me to see the media act in this kind of way when the local media is not doing any type of hit pieces like this, nothing like this at all. And to go in there and to ask nasty questions basically to Bryce and then twist it around in his article like he did is some dirty play by the national media. You guys need to listen to local media because the national media is absolutely dead.
Right. And I'll throw this David Newton. David Newton was on XM radio, NFL radio, shortly after they announced Bryce was benched. David Newton, and I'm going to quote a little bit what he said. They asked him, was this a surprise or a shock? He said, oh, no, absolutely not. Bryce played a really good game. The team had a really good – the defense has had a lot of struggles, but I didn't think the offense struggled hardly at all. David Newton was plumb outright lie through his fucking teeth. And even for David Newton, it wasn't a flub up. It wasn't a speech issue. It was a flat out lie. And he made it sound like that the problem was David Canales is a rookie head coach who don't know what he's doing. And David Tepper he said David Tepper probably interfered, but I have no proof of that. But it's obviously that Dave Canales has no idea what he's doing. And I mean, and shortly after they entered their interview, they just went on. They didn't even hardly talk about that interview. They could tell right away that David didn't have no idea what he was talking about. It's a wonder that man still has a job. But hey, that's the kind of people that ESPN likes. So if you watch ESPN, that's what they like.
We're living in a.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Nova,
there it is. How are you, Nova? What's up, brother?
I'm all right. I am well. Hey guys, I agree a lot with what you guys got to say. But I really think that when it comes to the media coverage, we're getting a lot of negative attention, and we've always got a negative attention, even when we were doing good as a team with Cam Newton. So ain't no surprise here that right now with the way that they're carrying on about Bryce Young. Even when the organization is operating with competency, because benching Bryce Young shows that Dave Canales has competency. He's able to look around the NFC South and like, whoa, look, we've got veteran quarterbacks on all these teams down here, and you really think this rookie quarterback, who is obviously incapable of reading NFL defenses right now, is gonna outplay these veteran quarterbacks? I don't think so. I'm not saying Derek Carr's like that, but that New Orleans offense is hot, and he got people that are making a difference for him, which makes him look better. Kirk Cousins is, I suppose he's gonna be able to survive a little bit down there in Atlanta. And Baker is hot down there in Tampa, whether you guys want to accept that shit or not. Baker is hot. And Bryce, trying to dumb down the offense, giving him read 1, read 2, read 3, read 4. He's obviously staring down read 1. You can see him following Deontay Johnson, trying to force the ball. Same shit with Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham. If you go back and watch the tape, he's staring down that number 1 along with a whole bunch of other stuff. Benching Bryce right now while he's not ready may be the best thing for him. And the organization is operating with competency. Even with Andy Dalton. Dalton ain't never been trash. He's always been mediocre to good, never been very good, but he made the playoffs a lot when he was up there with the Bengals, and he always come up short in the playoffs, but he was never absolute trash like some of these guys. And keep in mind, he came out in the first round, same year as Cam Newton. He's old, but I suppose with his football competency and his football IQ, he can make a bigger difference than Bryce. Give Bryce time to develop. But regardless whether it's going in a right direction or not, you're gonna get negative coverage from the media. And if you believe the hype, then you're gonna believe that the locker room is divided. But if you listen to the locker room, all those boys say Bryce can play. Y'all ain't seen him in practice. And then the people who saw him in practice said, yeah, we saw him and he didn't look like what we saw in the field. So they're wondering why it's not carrying over. It's not carrying over because he's just not ready.
Let me ask you this, Nova. Do you legit think he will ever be ready? So, for example, let's say Dalton comes out and looks good and he's spreading the ball around and the offense looks efficient. At what point do you go back to Bryce? What does Bryce have to do to get a second chance here and be able to right this ship before he turns out to be the worst? But right now, if Bryce never played another snap, he's the worst number 1 overall pick in history. Worse than
I think Andy has to fail.
So
in modern history, because the old NFL, regardless of how high they pick them, they sat there behind on that bench and learned behind a veteran quarterback.
Right. So Nova, what did you think it would take for Bryce to get that job back?
I'm glad you asked. If it was me, he'd sit behind that veteran quarterback for the rest of the season and learn. And the only way he get in that game is that veteran quarterback hurts. And next season in training camp, he's gonna have to beat that guy out. Straight up.
Nothing but facts. Nothing but facts.
If he can't beat him out, then guess what? I'm gonna look to trade his behind, or he's gonna be a backup.
And maybe even outperform in the preseason, not just practice, because he obviously has practice down.
Yeah, but he's going to have to play in the preseason, because I feel like them not playing in the preseason was the reason why they weren't ready for the Saints, straight up. the whole team overall, though.
Yeah. I think we're working at a severe talent deficit right now. And I think we're seeing that on our defensive line. Like, all of a sudden, now that Derek Brown is not here, it's like, man, we're hurting on that D line for name talent. We really are, man. And we're still not really able to stop the run effectively. So I think you're hoping that as an offense, you're able to keep your defense off the field for a little while, run the ball effectively. Like we said before, Chuba Hubbard is currently rushing for 6.5 yards a carry. So Chuba's out here moving the ball. Andy doesn't even have to do too much in order to be successful here on out. We just have to give our defense an opportunity to play aggressive. And I'm hoping that they can do that, man. But they have weapons. They have Brock Bowers. They still have Devontae Adams, who, in my opinion, is still just as good as he ever was. Gardner Minshew is a serviceable enough quarterback. And I think they really like their head coach over there in Vegas. So you have a team that, listen, they beat the Ravens. They beat the Ravens, and they beat them at the end of the game. So right now, this is a team that is very much feeling themselves, very much riding high about what they're able to do. I'm thinking this game might be more competitive than a lot of people are letting on. Absolutely. Hey, let me welcome my man Strats into the Friday Free-For-All. Strats, how are you, brother? How you doing, man?
What up, Strats?
Good. How are you guys? What up?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Hanging in there. Patiently awaiting Sunday.
So, Strats, would you like to give your opinion on, the whole Bryce Young situation?
David Newton.
Yeah, okay. David. Whatever you would like to speak about, man. It's a Friday Free-For-All. What you got for the show, man?
You know what kind of does David Newton has been bothering me for, I know you guys already kind of cleared up the topic, but he's been bothering me since like Cam was here is when I started to pick up on it, that it's weird because he works for ESPN, but he's basically I guess you could say beat writer for the Panthers. So he focuses on the Panthers. But I swear to God, since like 2015 or 2014, when I started noticing him in the pressers, he like almost is praying for our downfall in every question he ever asks. So I don't even know why. If it would be really funny if someone made a compilation video of all the shitty questions he asked for 10 years. He needs to go to a new fucking team. He needs to go to a new team because I swear that guy is bad luck. I'm blaming him for all of our problems. And what he did about the whole Bryce thing is bullshit because he did that shit on purpose. We all know he did. Come on, you can't doubt it.
When you say the Bryce thing, you mean the article about the trades that could potentially
and he left some shit vague on purpose so that he could get view count, and he, did Bryce say that he was comfortable to be traded anyway? No, he's never said that. Did someone take what he said, what he might have said, and then put it out of context and then purposely misalign it so that it looks like all these other teams are open to cannibalize what we have? Yes, that's exactly what happened. So I'm just I really, hate is a strong word. I despise that guy. I really wish he would find a different team. I really, really wish ESPN would move him to a different team.
You know what's funny? There's clips of him. He used to be a NASCAR reporter back in the day, and there's clips of him pissing off Tony Stewart and other.
Oh, I gotta see that.
Yeah, I need to look up Dave Newton and Tony Stewart. But anyway, man, it's like, we hear this a lot about Dave Newton. Some people love him, some people hate him. Sometimes he does ask the right kind of question that gets to the heart of something, but then other times it seems like he's definitely looking for the clickbaitier answer. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where Dave would be Dave Newton, I suppose. But moving our attention back to this Sunday, I want to get people's predictions, and your player of the game, and what you think the final score is going to end up being this Sunday, man. Whoever wants to jump in go ahead and jump in.
I got to get out pretty fast. I'll say we are within a touchdown, either winning or losing. I don't know. I can't predict that, but I'd say one team will win by a touchdown.
All right, one team wins.
I'll say we win by a touchdown.
All right, we win by a touchdown. Do you have a player or that you think might be sort of the player of the game?
It's hard to know because up to this point, we haven't had anything competent on offense to be able to determine who can actually catch the ball. Chuba did good running, and I don't even know. I don't know. I'm curious what Dave Canales is even going to do because it sounds like the entire league is saying too high safety, run the ball. But he seemed, I don't know, allergic to running it still. So if he gets his shit together and he runs the ball, I'll give it.
Okay. I like that. Your microphone muted at the end, Strat, so I didn't hear the person, but I believe you were saying
Chuba.
Chuba. Yeah, Chuba. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, nice, man. Appreciate you. Let me go to my man,
Thanks,
Kyle. Guys. Yeah, appreciate you, Strats. Kyle, what's your final score? Who's the player of the game, and what's going to be your final score? Your final score, player of the game, who wins?
All right, so I think it's going to be 30-28 Panthers.
Yeah, 30 points.
Yeah, I think 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals, or 3 touchdowns and 3 field goals. I think that's enough to beat them. And I think the offense looks a lot more competent, and I think the defense looks a lot better because they're not on the field as much. Garner Minshew is open to mistakes, and hopefully not only can we capitalize on those mistakes with J.C. Horn, but I hope that the player of the game is Ja'Tavion Sanders going out there and getting Andy Dalton to find him up the middle and find him on these like end routes and these or the out routes or whatever, like to be able to pick up 10, 15 yards a chunk while the defense is focused on Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen. I'd like to see if XL get involved as well, but I'm going to go Ja'Tavion Sanders being my player of the game.
All right. I like it. High scoring, Ja'Tavion Sanders breaking out. I'm into it. Nova Black, we always appreciate you for jumping on the free for all, brother. It's always good to hear from you. Whenever we can, whenever we do, tell me, man, what is your player of the game? Who's going to win? What's the final score going to be?
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
always grateful to come on. I've been rocking with you guys for a long time, many years, man. I love the C3 family, and even though I'm not always here, I'm always watching. I'm always tuning in. But you guys know I got to go with my Panthers, man. Win or lose, I'm going to go with my Panthers, but I'm going to go Panthers 27-23. And I'm going to say the Panthers going to shock everybody on defense. My player of the game is going to be Shaq Thompson. He's going to have another spectacular game. He's going to be flying around like baby Luke. He got a career high 14 tackles last game, and ain't nobody really talking about it. And I'm going to say he's going to have at least 8 tackles and an interception this game. Let's go.
Damn. I like the sound of that.
Damn. I'm loving that, man. Sign me up for that one.
He took my guy, Shaq, bro. I agree with Strats too. I think Chuba's gonna have a good game. I struggle with this, man, because I hate to jinx it, but if you recall back last year, my backwards jinx didn't work, and I'm gonna say Panthers 25, Raiders 23. And I pick Shaq as well with an INT. I think that him being a captain on the defense, he knows that like without Derek Brown there, someone needs to lead this team. And there's not really anybody on offense besides maybe Thielen, but I think he's going to help pick it up. And I think he's been starving. When I think about him, I think about hit stick and missing, but I think he's got some hunger in him right now after being gone all last year. So yeah, I agree. I agree, Nova. 25-23 Panthers with Chuba having a good game.
I like that, man. I love the way we're moving. I feel like there's a lot of optimism on this team now that we've made this quarterback change. So I'm liking it. Let me go to Jake the Snake. Jake, I appreciate you as always, brother. Give me your player of the game, final score, and who wins.
Man, I always love to be on here. But man, I want us to win so bad, y'all. We deserve a win. We need a win. And but it seems like every time I pick us to win, we lose. So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going with the Raiders, and it's gonna be 27-20. And whoever the guy's running back is gonna be player of the game.
Psychology, I like it.
Hey man, you call that the reverse jinx, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Do what you got to do, Jake.
Yeah, shout out to Jake.
I'm doing it.
Real one. Yeah, he's trying to get them W's for the Panthers, baby. I love it. Next up, my man, you know him, you love him, Panther Pickle. Pickle, final score, who wins, and who is your player of the game?
24-17 Panthers with Andy Dalton getting 3 touchdown passes, and he tells everybody to shut the hell up.
Yeah.
He ain't old yet. Then next week he got a big bag of ice on his shoulder because wore that already.
Oh no, that's not good. That's not good. Hey man, listen, we always let my man Diesel Skills have the final say. And by the way, shout out to Mike Hollinger, who says prayers up. Y'all donate to Greg. One more. Let me do this one final time. So, if you don't know, we had a tragedy that happened yesterday morning. Our brother, Greg, who is a co-host on the C3 Panthers podcast, tragically lost his wife in a car accident yesterday morning. Everybody is reeling, and we over here at C3, we're family. We take care of our own. So anything that you could donate would be just greatly appreciated to Greg and Ashley Schlager and their family and the 2 daughters that she's leaving behind. We have pinned the link to donate to the GoFundMe at the top of the YouTube page and the YouTube chat. And tonight is about them, man. We're dedicating this show in their honor. And if any of you are the praying type at all, please keep Greg and their family in your prayers as they go through this incredibly trying time. Tonight is for them. Greg, we love you, buddy. This entire C3 family loves you, and we all come together for family. So please donate anything that you possibly can. Hit the GoFundMe at the top of the YouTube chat. And once again, we appreciate y'all, man. We've raised almost $1,000 just in the time that we've been live doing this show. So C3 Nation is strong. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all, man. Prayers up to Ashley and Greg and their 2 daughters. It's absolutely tragic, man. My brother Diesel Skills, we love you, man. You're the brand ambassador for a reason. Panthers excitement is generally up right now with Dalton under center. I'm going to give you the final words, bro. And then we're going to jump on out of here, man. Give me your final score. Who's going to win? And who is your player of the game, bro?
First of all, Cody, thank you for handling all the comments and the wonderful things that you said about Greg and his family. Shout out to Greg, of course. And we all appreciate and love and support him so much and being a part of this C3 community and the C3 family. I'm so glad that you've been able to be a spear, the tip of the spear, into helping him and his family through this hard time. That's all I'm gonna say about that, because it's so hard to talk about. You did such a great job. Looking forward to this matchup Sunday. So big deal for the Carolina Panthers and this coaching staff, I think, in their evaluation of where they are in coaching this offense and teaching this offense and putting players in a position to be successful and putting players in a position to grow and develop, because that's what we've lacked here in Carolina. And we're gonna find that out real soon. I think this week is more pivotal to the Panthers season than maybe some fans actually predict or see it to be. Because let's look at the two outcomes, okay? If the Carolina Panthers offense comes out and does gangbusters against this Raiders defense, which I think all Panthers fans can agree this Raiders defense is better than this Carolina Panthers defense is, okay? So they're stronger than we are, but our offense actually goes out there and kills these Raiders. What does that mean to this team going forward? It's going to have some implications. It really would. And along with that, like I asked Pickle last night in the C3 Legion Spaces, I asked him, I said, what does it mean to this coaching staff and this team if Andy Dalton goes out here Sunday against the Raiders and lays a complete egg? We get absolutely dominated just like week 1 versus the Saints. Or just like last week where we only scored 3 points. We only threw for 84 yards. These two implications or these two outcomes for this team are heavy impactful going forward for the Carolina Panthers. It's not something to be taken lightly. We need to watch this game and figure out which direction the Carolina Panthers are going this season. Because if we can't win, if we can't look competent with Andy Dalton starting as our quarterback. Last time he started, like you said, Cody, he threw for almost 400 yards. We should look fine with Andy. We have a top 10 offensive line, right? We got a running back that averages 6.4 yards. Andy Dalton should look fantastic with this upgraded offensive line, with these advanced weapons beyond last year. Let me bring this up. And this is going to be my player of the game. Adam Thielen is going to be my player of the game. I think he catches 2 touchdowns with Dalton out there on the field. If you go back to that Seattle game, what was Adam Thielen's biggest game of the year? Oh, yeah. It was with Andy Dalton against Seattle. So Adam Thielen makes his comeback coming up here Sunday. He's the player of the game. I feel like the Panthers are going to rally around Dalton. And it's not anything against Bryce Young. It's just the fact that he needed to take a break from this team. The pressure was too high. The atrocities from the year before and the year before and the year before had built up. And Bryce Young had to be the savior to all that. It was too much for him to tackle right now with what he's dealing with what he's going through. He wasn't ready. The playbook's going to open up. We're going to see a different Carolina Panthers offense. The Dave Canales offense isn't trash. It hasn't been trash in the last 3, 4, 5 seasons in the NFL. Dave Canales is able to manufacture yards for a competent offense in the NFL. And we're going to see that Sunday. I think the Panthers are able to do something they haven't done in the last 5 games, and that's score over 20 points. I'm going to give the Carolina Panthers 23 points, and this Raiders offense that's struggling to run the football. Somehow Carolina finds a way to hold that down and plays good in the secondary. Mike Jackson's been fine. J.C. Horn's been a game changer. Argue with your mama. This Carolina Panthers secondary looks okay Sunday. We hold the Raiders to only 20 points. We win a nail biter, and this Carolina Panthers gets a little boost going forward. I'm going to say keep pounding Greg and keep pounding C3. Let's go, Cody.
Keep pounding.
Pounding. What an incredible show. Listen, we thank each and every one of you for being a part of it, man. We will be back this Sunday as we do the post-game show at 4:30 after the game. We will be breaking down all the action from the Panthers and the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, for the final time of the night. Tonight is for Greg and his family after their tragic loss yesterday morning. Anything and everything that you can donate is so greatly appreciated. We've raised over $1,000 just in the time that we've been on air. You guys are absolutely incredible. We love y'all so much. This is dedicated sincerely to Greg, to Ashley Slager, who tragically lost her life, and her children. This is for you. We love you from C3 Panther Nation. Wishing you all a wonderful night, a blessed night. Hug all your family members and loved ones. And as always, from the C3 Legion, keep pounding.